Hi, and welcome to Thursday with a Friend. My name is Lawrence Punk. What the hell is that? It did not start off like this, all right?
Yeah, I kind of went into switcheroo on him.
I saw you moving around, and I was like, he doesn't know when it ends.
You were probably first like, why is he wearing pajama bottoms? And then, okay, what's he doing?
Well, because the intro was messed up. Uh, I want to say thank you to my special guest, Random Diorama. I said it properly. It might be the only time. Also known as Radnom. So let's just
Instead,
ask.
typo.
Yeah. Okay. So where does the name Random Diorama come from?
Okay, well, I make dioramas and I'm kind of like can never decide on what the heck I'm doing with myself. Hence the random part. Gives me an open window, for
And that's what your channel is mostly about.
mostly dioramas, yeah.
Okay.
Building stuff, props, toy props, for sure.
I'm just noticing the name underneath it.
It's a true statement.
It is a very true statement. It's not had a flag. It is has a flag.
It's the same one, right? All the way from childhood.
It's from my childhood, from 1985, when I got it for Christmas. It is the exact same one.
That's got to be pretty rare, actually.
Yeah, I've never added any parts to it. I've lost some parts, but I've never gone out and like, where, let's say you have a hiss or something where you got to replace the canopy. I should, but those parts are so expensive that it's like, I don't really care. I'm missing a few pieces. I did give the microphone away, which I regret. I regret big time right now because that's pretty expensive. All right. So your name comes from Random Diorama.
Yeah.
Not Random Diarrhea, correct?
I mean, it happens occasionally to me, but it's not. I would, not that often.
And I'm sorry, that is some digital diarrhea.
No, I get
would
it.
say it just kind of flowed off. So where does Radnom come from?
Radnom comes from. I don't remember if it was the first or second time that Ted and Aaron had me on the Hella Dope stream, but he did a scrolling banner on the bottom that said "starring Random Diorama," but he misspelled it and it said "starring Radnom Diorama," and I didn't notice it until the stream was almost over. And of course,
wow.
Ted gets very embarrassed anytime he makes any kind of mistake. He's just not. It bugs him. Mistakes bug Ted. So he looked a little flustered. It was funny. We laughed it off, and that's kind of just been there since then.
I wonder how he's going to feel when he realizes the embarrassment of hiring Ed as a mistake.
Can't be any worse than the Blue Dolly, man.
Yeah, I was really hoping to get that, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get that at all.
What, to buy one?
No, I wanted them to get it because everyone's like, you need to get that down to Joe Fest. But for them to ship it would just be.
You could buy one on Amazon for like $30.
No. They want the blue mule.
The actual.
They want that one. Right?
He needs to sign it at this point.
So quickly, let's say hi to everyone. GI Bro shows that he became a channel member, but this was probably from before. But you know what? I just really like hearing this, and my daughter hasn't been there for a while, so.
Welcome to the creamery.
Double dipping for the win.
Welcome to the creamery.
Whoa, dude.
It's stuck. It's automatically. I always forget. It's automatically stuck on repeat for some reason. And that actually goes back to the first time I went live. I played music. And I thought the music would end. I didn't know it wouldn't end. So I had to stop my first stream like maybe 3 minutes into it because I didn't know how to stop the music.
Streaming is such a learning process for sure.
So that was my first one. So technically my first stream was like 3 minutes long. And then I cut it. All right. So let's see. Daredevil Davis here. Lawrence, I voted for you as Bazooka in the upcoming G.I. Joe Transformers movie. Yeah, I don't think I got the size for Bazooka. I might be as dumb as him from the cartoon. 3-star draws here. We have Fatred, son of a crayon slayer. I love that name. We have Krusty Old Crow. Hey, I see I'm in time for the kickoff. Interest in meeting Mr. R. Diorama. You need to come to Joe Fest. 3-star, we already said. Woody 222 is here. We have Spaded 1 Mick Dysentery. No, I said it wrong. Mick. Dude, I can say the word. I just can't say it live.
No, I was in the other screen.
Do you know how to say Spaded 1?
McDysentery.
McDysentery. That's it. I screw it up every time. Ed thinks it's hilarious. Matthew Madsen, my moderator, is here.
Matthew.
Mr. Wonderful is here. He shows up when you get people like this, but he doesn't show up when I'm alone, other than when he wants to call me. Did I say 3-star draws here? I do believe so. Plastic Skulls is in the house. We have Nolan's, who, when I understand, when Nolan's here, we've become an official toy tube channel, but you don't really do toys, so that's another thing we will definitely touch on.
Sure.
Aaron the Toy Enhancer, somebody told me this is the Creamery Factory. Am I in the right place? You are. Payne's Toy Sample, always showing love. Have a good show, guys. Dropping the like, but still not feeling it lately. Hope everyone has an amazing day. I'm awful at reading.
No worries, man.
I can talk, but man, the moment I need to read stuff, it is absolutely awful.
I think people tune in for it, to be quite honest. Like Ed, for one, obviously.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. We have Christoph Scuba. We have Jonathan. Jonathan, greetings, everyone. Are you Jonathan?
Perhaps.
I wasn't going to say, but you put it out there, so.
I never use StreamYards in Chrome. This is in Chrome. I run on Safari and OBS, so my Google is not Googling. And
Bill Lionaire, which I don't believe I've ever seen you here. Thank you for joining, even if it's just to see Radnom here. I really like that name. And Tony and I were talking about, like, when we go to Joe Fest, and it's like, we're going to be calling all these people by their YouTube name. And some, yeah. Like, if I saw you, I don't think I'd call you Jonathan. I wouldn't call you Random. I think I'd end up calling you Radnom.
Radnom now. I used to get Random a lot, but that's cool. It's all works, man.
Yeah, Random. I guess because Radnom is very specific, right? I mean, I guess
more unique. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no one that's gonna not know who you're talking about. And then we have Legend Series, and Ed finally shows up, saying hi to Down South, but not to either one of us. That's just mean, but it'll probably be a short joke soon. So anyway, so do you mind me asking, what age range are you?
I am 44.
Wow. I thought for sure you were older than me.
Nope. 45 in July.
July what?
July 20th.
Okay. My son's birthday is the 15th. That was just...
Okay.
I don't know why we ask. Like, it matters. Like, you'd be like, oh my God, you have a kinship with my son.
Yes. Like, we're both Cancers, so I don't know what house his whatever is in, but yeah.
I don't want to call him a Cancer, but he can be a thorn in my side. So where were you born at, and where did you grow up at?
I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and I grew up there until I was 13. And then my dad moved us to further out on Long Island. So kind of near the Hamptons, but like near the Hamptons where people that don't have money live, not the actual Hamptons.
So you weren't rich?
No.
You didn't have an aircraft carrier?
No aircraft carrier for me. No, I was spoiled a bit because I'm an only child, and my grandparents were, solidly middle class, but my dad and my mom certainly were working class.
What is solidly middle class in New York? I mean, just the difference that people make in New York to be middle class compared to here in Michigan. Like, if I told someone how much I make, they'd be like, "Oh my God, you couldn't survive there." And it's like, I make a decent living here, or California.
So you got to understand, though, my grandparents, they're long gone now. They bought their home in 1950, So
yeah.
by the time I came around, they were already. Go ahead.
Krusty would like to know what street did you first live on? Mother's maiden name. I just quickly saw the school I went to was Chippewa, right? We had almost 3,000 kids in our school, in our high school. Very Italian based.
Yeah.
Very a lot of not Arabic, Albanians. So, but very, very highly Italian based. And people would go, "Oh, you went to Chippewa? Yeah. Did you know a Mike?" I'd be like,
"Yeah, like
Italian Mike? Oh yeah, he's Italian, dark hair. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know him. Oh really? I'm like, no, I don't fucking know who he is."
Yeah.
I might have been an asshole even back in high school.
That's probably a distinct possibility, I'm thinking.
But when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, someone's gonna ask because he's, you said you grew up in Brooklyn, like they're gonna know, like.
Well, no, people will know. Like I grew up mainly up and down Avenue U, so which is Gravesend area through Homecrest near like Coney Island Avenue. My mom's from Brighton Beach, so in that area, Sheepshead Bay area, around there.
But it was just once I saw it, and then I read the next. I'm like, this is.
Last four of your social security number.
Last four of your social security number. So you already kind of, words are hard sometimes.
That's cool.
So you grew up. You said you were already an only child.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were growing up, like, did you have other friends in the area? I mean, if you're growing up in New York, was everyone kind of on top of each other? You said you moved out a little bit, but I'd assume Brooklyn, everyone's kind of on top of each other.
Yeah, Brooklyn, everyone's kind of on top of each other. So I moved a lot. My mom and dad probably had 3 different apartments that we lived in when they were together, but they got divorced by the time I was 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was pretty early. And at that point, I stayed with my mom for maybe about 3 years, but that didn't exactly go too well. There was some stuff going on with her, and so I ended up living with my dad and my grandparents for the next 3 years of my life, which was good. It was kind of like a resetting to a degree. But as far as friends, yeah, I had friends, but like I said, I moved a lot. So the friend group up until about 13, because it was all close enough to go to the same schools, pretty much stayed the same. But when I moved in with my grandparents, I kind of spent a lot of time with my grandmother and didn't really spend that much time with kids my own age. And I was always very to myself. I built Legos like crazy. I was building Legos when I was like 3 or 4 years old. I would build all those 10 and up kits, the space stations and all that. And so friend groups changed a lot, especially later on when we moved out to Long Island. It took me a while to reconnect because I don't know if you moved around at all, but every time you move, it's harder to reconnect with new people when you're younger. It's like the first time. If you have siblings, it might be a little different.
Yeah. No, I grew up in the same place. Like we moved into my grandparents' condo. I don't remember. What would have been after my grandfather was paralyzed after I was born, but he lived 12 years after he was paralyzed. So he was a paraplegic, and then she ended up moving, and we moved into their old condo. So that must have been maybe age 4 or 5.
Okay.
And I lived there, till after my sister graduated. Well, my dad lived there till after she graduated, and then that's a whole other story. But no, so I didn't move around. I was one of the lucky ones, and then even now, I live 3 miles from where I grew up. And my ex, she actually lives in the same neighborhood. Like she lives in the trailer park, and there's apartments in there. There's condos. There's not townhouses, co-ops. There's houses. So she lives right in that same area. Matter of fact, her dad, when I met her, lived in the same condos.
You ever had the urge to change states or anything?
Only when I was younger. My buddy, oddly enough, he went to Arizona State, and I was gonna move to Arizona and go to community college and try and get to Arizona State after. And I went out there. Such a beautiful state.
Never been.
And I think for me, it was just, I don't know, I think my life would have just changed so much that I couldn't find myself moving. And you're still young and still trying to figure things out. And I think that I probably still had some hopes of
3-star
skateboarding.
I need one 3-star. I need to get one. Even if I probably won't smoke, but just for show, I need to have one.
Ed asks, "Hi, Punk and Random. Do you feel better now, 4K Larry?"
4K Larry. Man.
All right. So anyway, and hey, John. Oh no, he's talking figuratively speaking, isn't he? It's
Probably.
Jonathan. So do you remember, like, growing up as a kid, like, what was the first toys that you really played around? Now, I know you already mentioned the Legos, but was there more?
So are you talking, how young are you talking? The first thing I could remember?
No, just like was there a specific toy, like, were there specific toys that you just gravitated to? Like, obviously for my age, I'm 48. You know, there's always Star Wars.
Wow, that's old.
I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, dude. 49 in December. I know. I'm just an old man. Just all this gray. That's so much gray. But do you remember, like, was there any toys that you gravitated?
Sure. I can tell you my first Lego story. The first time I ever had Legos was I was 5 years old, and my mother and father were still together, and we flew to, now I don't remember if it was Florida or Oklahoma, but I think it was Oklahoma because we weren't staying at my grandparents' condo. They had a condo in Florida, you know, snowbirds from New York to Florida. And I got one of the freaking Lego castles, dude. And I'm sitting there at 5 on the floor of the hotel room building that Lego castle, and it was magical. You know, I remember that being awesome. I also really loved Transformers as a kid. I did have some G.I. Joes, but they weren't, like, I wouldn't say a mainstay. I had your favorite figure ever, Deep Six. I remember that. I actually enjoyed that figure that you can't stand because I could take him in the bathtub with me, along with my Lego.
Did I ever say I hated Deep Six?
You said he's the worst made figure ever, I think, or something like that. I mean, it has no articulation. I do understand.
That would be a correct statement. I don't have any love for Deep Six. I just don't remember saying anything about it, but it doesn't mean that I didn't. All right? Because you obviously remember me.
I remembered because I was like, man, I like that figure. When you said something, I was like, man, that's one of the ones I remember that I liked when I was a kid. With what was the vehicle he came with?
It
looked like it should fly, but I think it was meant for water.
It did both. It was somebody will say it.
All right. Well, we could wait. We could wait on that.
The Shark.
It was called the Shark.
Yeah.
Maybe I never knew that. All right.
Yeah, the shark on the side. It was meant for sea. It was a
submarine.
The submarine, and then it took flight.
Okay.
It could float. Rumor is it actually could go deeper than the oceanic one that went down to.
Yeah. We'll leave those people alone for now.
We're leaving them alone for the rest of their lives.
That's true. Yeah. So anyway, Matchbox cars too. I used to really like Matchbox cars. Lincoln Logs.
Oh, Lincoln Logs was so much fun.
Loved Lincoln Logs. And I loved Tinker Toys. Had a lot of fun with Tinker Toys right up until the point I built a bow and arrow and shot my mom with it. And she threw all my Tinker Toys in the garbage. There's a construction theme heavy through all my toys, though. I was very into building stuff when I was a little kid.
Well, I mean, it does lead up into what you do now.
Sure.
So everything that you're saying, like everything that you're mentioning, it's like it plays right into what your whole channel is about. So I think it's awesome. I was never a Lego guy. My dad didn't like Legos. My grandmother, because as I mentioned, my grandfather was paralyzed. So when he was finally paraplegic, he was just bedridden at the back of the house, and she had this big, huge condo. But to make sure that my sister and I would go back there and see him, and when you're a kid, like he would have to call for anything after he had his second seizure. He's very loud, right? That's the only way, and it's scary. Like even though he can't hurt you, and not that you ever think that he will, it's a scary look and how he talks. So she would always buy little things when we go over there and put them back there. So we'd have to go back there before we could get them and see them. And I would always get lock blocks.
Lock blocks.
Lock blocks were a ripoff of Legos.
Okay.
They were big. Like they were big for
like the Duplo.
They weren't as nice as Duplo.
Well, I'm sure they weren't as nice because it's a knockoff, but
yeah. But lock block, I mean, they were known. Like they were known, but they were big. They were more for like younger kids. Like you couldn't design things because everything would be gigantic. I would say one block was probably equivalent to 3 to 4. Well, one block would be almost the size of a big block for Legos, but longer and a little bit wider.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
And they had like big, huge knobs on them. I was trying to find a different word.
Voltron also. I got to throw that in there. I loved Voltron. Robots. I loved robots.
It's funny because that's one that I've recently discussed that I never. I knew what Voltron was, but I never watched it. I never saw it. And I feel almost ripped off today because so many people have this love for it. And I'm like, I don't.
Even the theme music gives me chills, but you probably get that with like G.I. Joe and stuff too, I'm sure. A lot of that 80s cartoon theme music is just so ingrained into us when you hear it. It's just, it's
and then it's in your head the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Ed says, I had an uncle that made Lincoln Logs for us. When I got older, we'd build huge houses and light them on fire with action figures.
Yeah, well, Ed was like raised by wolves or something.
Bobcats.
Yeah. Definitely.
You know what? I'm not even mad that you have that because you were part of that stream.
That's why I did it. I was like, man, that was just too hilarious.
Like, I would be pissed if it was someone that wasn't part of it. It'd be like, why? Like, why? You don't have that. You were there because you were the one that told Usual Mike that he always looks suspicious.
Yeah, he did. He did look the usual suspect right there. Like the little kind of eyes bugging out, like, dude. That was so damn funny, and it ended up being his kid. I mean, was it though? That's what he said, but that sounded like too perfect. I wonder if he had a button, a software soundboard. He hit that just to mess with all of us. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know.
He said that he said his kid always makes noises like that when he's playing stuff. So he was just so used to it. But I don't know. Like,
dude, that was so perfect. His kid sounds like that guy from Spaceballs that did the bleeps, the sweeps, and the creeps. I mean, like, I couldn't make that sound. You heard that sound, right? It sounded like.
Hold on, here. Here, if anyone is wondering, here, we're just gonna play this.
Yeah, Oz is saying, play the clip, Larry.
Right, here you go. This is what happened around 2:00 in the morning Eastern. I really don't do this, but you have been really good in here. Shoot on over there. What the hell was that? Was it like a bobcat attacking someone? Or what the hell was that noise?
Jesus Christ, what was that?
It sounded like a bobcat attacking. I normally don't do this, especially to someone who just jumped in, but he's been so good. Go check out his YouTube channel and give him a subscribe.
Yes. Yeah, dude, his videos are actually pretty cool. I like his videos, and he's asking questions back to the community to get them to kind of guide where he wants to go with what he wants to review and stuff. He's been making some good videos.
Okay, what was the noise? What was the fucking noise? Because that sounds
nobody's gonna fess up. What was that?
I think it was Usual Mike. He's the only one that has little people running around him. He's the only one with people around him.
He looked a little suspicious.
I don't see nothing.
That sounded like a bobcat outside my house does.
He might just always look suspicious now that I'm looking at him a little
We don't have bobcats. Was it you?
I was so like when it happened, and I said that, and then Matthew jumped in, and I was like, is Matthew just saying that just so I don't sound stupid? But then when Ed is like, what was the noise? What was the fucking noise?
It took
Like-
my brain a minute to process because I was painting something while it was going on. Yeah, 3-star Joel said if it's true that kid needs an exorcism. That's what I'm saying. That's. I mean, he might have a future in some kind of comedic sound effects or something there.
But that was the first time when I was just listening to it now. About halfway through it, I hear another noise. I'm like, okay, there's. So I think the kids, but we were all like, I was so glad. I'm like, was I the only one that heard that? Because it was loud. I mean,
It would have messed with you so hard if everyone just was like, no, I didn't hear anything.
oh, I would. I would.
You on them steroids again today, Larry? Is that what's going on?
Well, I did look and see what time it happened at, so I could go back really quick. Oh man, dude, that was
Yeah, that was a good one.
so awesome. And that's what you miss on the clubhouse sometimes. Sometimes nothing memorable happens, but that one happened, and I will play. I played that thing for 3 hours straight because I laugh every single time.
Yeah, there's been quite a few interesting occurrences there. Some of them are not PG-13, so we don't have to discuss them.
Some aren't even rated R, right? Some
Yeah.
are way past R. Bobby Wold asked, do you guys remember Macros Robo Link's little robots were almost like Legos, like you can build things with them?
So I did have like some of them, or at least one of the Macros fighters, like the jets, Robotech, but I don't remember the links. No, I do not.
Is that what he was talking, like the Macros Robotech?
I mean, that's the only thing that I know that's Macros, unless I'm
but it was the links thing that kind of threw me off. Holy shit, man! My son sounds like something's happening to him. Like, what the hell, dude? I don't even want to know. Dude, I know my mic picks up everything. I don't know if it's. Hold on, dude. What the fuck is that?
You gonna go over there? Whoa, easy. So they were like Zoids with builder cubes.
Oh.
I don't remember them.
I don't either. None at all.
Now I had the regular Voltron, and I also had the vehicle Voltron. That no one else I knew ever had that vehicle Voltron. There were lots of knockoffs, but remember, what was this one? Oh yeah,
4 days after the stream, the police found his body.
Mm.
No, that'd be in Australia, so we'll have to wait for Shark Eyes to let us know. Maybe he'll get it with all his new fucking G.I. Joe figures.
Could take some time though. Where were we? What were we talking about?
So we're talking about mostly building blocks that you got. Lincoln Logs, shooting your mom with some Tinker Toys.
Tinker Toys, yeah.
No, I mean, I think we all had Lincoln Logs, which I like Lincoln Logs. As a matter of fact, one of my displays for my ninjas, I use Lincoln Logs.
Okay.
Now, what's crazy is obviously, ones that my kids had. It was in one of those big buckets, and then I had a second bucket. Wow, you think that they take up more space than they do, but you have this big bucket, and you're like, it's really not that many.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could really use about 2 more buckets of these so I could finish what I needed to.
Have you seen the tiny Lincoln Logs they make that you can use in the diorama?
I don't think so.
I have some from the company that you're sponsored with, because I am as well. And it's World's Smallest Toys. They make them, and I used them for one of my Christmas displays one time. But yeah,
But are they actually
Oh,
Lincoln
man.
Logs?
I feel like they're right there, but I don't want to go rummaging. Yes, you can put it together. You can build little
Oh,
things. with
wow.
them. It's kind of annoying because they keep popping out, and if you sneeze on them, everything falls apart because they're so tiny. But you could glue it.
This isn't what I thought random looked like. I dig the young
The
Gandalf.
young Gandalf.
I'm not sure if you're serious or not. I'm assuming you must have seen him before, right?
Meh.
He's been on. I mean, I know he's never been on my channel, but honestly, I don't have very many people on my channel. But I don't even think. I don't think when I've hosted, I don't think you've been on
On what?
Oz's
Yeah. I have.
Clubhouse. No, I mean I know when I've been on, but when I've hosted, I don't think you've ever jumped on when I've hosted.
I think you were hosting the Night of the Bobcat.
You're absolutely.
That's what we're going to call that from now on.
You're
The night
absolutely
of the Bobcat. But yeah.
You're
You're like, dude, what?
I don't
Sorry.
even know what.
You're almost 50, dude. You're allowed some of that.
That's right.
No worries.
So I took a half day for my son's graduation on Tuesday. Do not take a half day in the middle of the week or on Tuesday. It fucks up your week completely. Because usually you take a half day on Friday, right? And then you finish, and then say, okay, I'm done, right?
Yeah,
Or
for
maybe-
those of us lucky enough to work a standard work week, that would be correct, Larry.
Okay. Okay, I'm assuming.
You're assuming probably a pretty far stretch. I bet you 2/3 of the people in the chat don't work a Monday through Friday anymore the way things have been, but maybe.
All right. Okay. So, all right. Well, I'm not going to.
Let's get back on me. I know you're like, John, come on, dude. Just keep talking about you. Maybe I'll start making memes about you right now in the stream.
It screwed up my whole week, and I'm like, my God, I still have one more fucking day.
Yeah.
One more
Structure
day.
is important. You know, you get things out of flow, and it does throw things out.
Yeah. All right. So obviously, you said you pretty much like building blocks, but you did talk about Transformers now.
Love Transformers. I did have G.I. Joes. Like I had some. I had Thundercats. I did have Thundercats. Had the Thunder Tank. But pretty much everything was secondary to the building blocks, and I would build bases and things out of Legos with Tinker Toy, all the crazy parts together, and there would always be like a good guy base and a bad guy base, and there'd be some kind of war going on. And
So you use your building blocks or building toys to build bases for
stories.
Yeah.
Fights, and that would happen. There would be, the good guys and the bad guys pretty much. And yeah, I was also, my dad got me a little bit, only for a little, I really enjoyed model rockets for a little bit there too. That was kind of fun.
All right, so I guess I shouldn't, I don't know why I passed over it. So let's go back to when you built a bow and arrow.
Okay.
Tinker Toys
Mm-hmm.
to eliminate your mom.
Well, that wasn't the sole purpose of it. I think I was. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Obviously, I wasn't thinking very well because it didn't work out for me too wonderfully.
So,
I had a Little Tykes football-shaped toy chest. You ever see those things back in the day?
I believe so.
And I think I was hiding in it, and I think she was trying to get me out of it. And I thought of myself as like in a bunker, and I needed to defend the bunker. And yeah, it just kind of went on from there. But anyway, yeah, carry on.
Wait. Well, no. Wait. So you hide. I know exactly the football shaped toy chest that you're hiding.
Yeah.
She was trying to get you out.
Yeah. I think I need to clean up because obviously if I was in the toy chest, all of my toys were everywhere in the room. And this is not like a small, tiny thing. It held quite a bit.
So you had, before you got in, I'm assuming, formulated a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
That you knew that you were going to use.
No, I didn't plan to necessarily.
But you already knew that it could fire.
Yes, it had a big rubber band thing on the back of it. I don't remember exactly how I rigged it, but yes, it used a rubber band propulsion mechanism of some sort.
Okay, so you're. She knows you're hiding in there. I'm assuming, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. So explain how this happens. Like, do you pop up like the Viet Cong?
It was pretty close to that. Yeah, I remember popping up like, yeah, that was basically it.
And now, how much did this actually hurt her, or was it just like
no? It pissed her off, but no,
Okay,
no.
I can see
physical harm.
that.
Yeah.
Um,
She stops all of my evil plans.
I'm just picturing you, and of course now I'm picturing you I'm picturing you as a little kid with a giant beard and now a
No
Gandalf
beard.
hat.
Yeah.
But with Tinker Toys, fucking bow and arrow.
I was very, very small kid too. I didn't hit a growth spurt until pretty late, so I was super short.
Okay, so we're gonna pass the growth spurt talk. Let's move on. My aunt would tell me at like 21, you know, your cousin Greg hit a growth spurt real late. I'm like, I'm 21. I'm not hitting growth spurt.
It's done.
It came and went. All right, like,
Yeah.
I'm short. End of story. You see everyone else. Grandma's 4'8", all right, or 4'9" maybe. Right?
Well, you kind of grew out a little bit.
Well, that was by design.
Effort, I'm sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that was that. The project director says she stops all of your evil plans.
Yeah, that happened.
All right, so after you try and eliminate your mom and you realize Tinker Toys is not going to do the job.
No, wasn't enough.
And now you've lost the Tinker Toys. So now all you can do is, I guess, use Legos for landmines.
Yeah, I don't think I did anything like that after that. I don't recall any other. I really think that was just like a snap thing. I just got caught up in the moment.
Ed is the one person that continues to send short stuff that doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me that people send short joke stuff. It's just very lazy. You know, when there's too many of them, it just becomes it's like it's lazy writing.
It's a little
Like,
short on effort.
Exactly. See,
Mm.
you have a way of working in it. Ed does too. The stuff that Ed sends is absolutely hilarious normally. But some people, they go on and on with the short jokes, and you're just kind of like, all right, like, you're not even putting effort in anymore. Like, you're not even trying. All right.
Low hanging fruit.
Exactly. Oh, this is going to be a shit show.
We'll be all right.
I didn't say it in a bad way. Okay. So as you start getting a little bit older, you said you moved around a little bit. You said your parents got divorced at 7.
True.
Did you ever get out of, building? It seems like you weren't really big into toys as much as you used them as a backdrop more than anything for your building.
In my imagination, I mean, I did play with the toys, and I broke a lot of them too. Like, I broke a lot of figures, got smashed up, thrown around, especially if they went outside. I'd like to spend a lot of time outside, as a lot of kids in the 80s did, running around. And I even had, we used to go, like, the distances I used to walk alone in New York is kind of crazy in comparison to what a child of 7 or 8 years old would do now and be acceptable. But yeah, I even had a bus pass, a New York City bus pass, because I wasn't far enough away from the school. It was given to me by the school. I wasn't far enough away from the school for them to send a bus to come and get me, but I wasn't close enough for them to say, all right, just walk. So they give me a New York City bus pass that you could ride anywhere you want to, from like, it was 5 a.m. to like 8 a.m. and then a couple of hour window at the end. And I was probably about 9 or 10 at this point, and I would just get on the bus and go to the mall after school, and then, sometimes walk back 2 miles or something down. Just anyway, I'm kind of losing my train of thought there, but what was the question?
You're
like, I don't even know.
I asked about the toys, and it seemed like most of your toys were more of a backdrop because you used your imagination. Then you went outside. Then I found out your parents didn't give two shits about you.
I was raised by
bus
wolves.
pass.
Yeah.
They were like, "Here's a bus pass in New York. Get fucking off." Here's a grenade. Here's a 6-shooter. Good luck.
Good luck. Yeah, it was a little bit like that. I mean, not exactly, but maybe a little bit. No, I did like toys. But yeah, the construction stuff was probably the main part. Like I said, I love the Transformers. I got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was a little old for that. And actually, I got them maybe only a year or two before my dad purged everything and threw it all in the garbage.
Oof.
I know, which kind of sucked. I had a lot of Legos, man. A lot of good stuff.
Should have hit him with that bow and arrow.
Well, no, that really wouldn't have went over well. But
but even with Transformers, it sounds like, I mean, you look at Transformers, they're building. I mean, they're literally transforming from one thing to another. So a lot of it really seems to be a whole, like that's what you gravitate to. And obviously everything that you do on your channel that we see you make. I probably should have brought the thing up that you sent me.
no,
I didn't. I have it downstairs. It's now in my display. I do have these though.
Yeah, I had the laser cutter out the other day. I got to starting to make some new parts.
These ones are a little thin, but the thick one is awesome. Like these ones, I always feel like I need a, like I'm going to communion at
Right, a wafer.
church. and someone is getting this at communion. But I absolutely love those. And there's no way I was ever going to use them as a coaster, especially that thick one, because I absolutely love it.
Well, I thought the drawing Bud did was cool. It was just kind of like a moment, inside joke. So,
no, no, and again, I think that's what makes this community so good, and what makes so many certain people so good. Because I don't think everyone in the community is that great. I think some people are, they're not people I would have hung out with in high school or after high school or in between classes or, Anyway, so as you started to get a little bit older.
Yep.
Did you move away from your blocks, your Legos and different things like that?
Well, I definitely did after my dad threw them all in the trash. Yeah.
So all of that stuff too, like you said, the purge, like that's just toys, all your Legos.
Anything, yeah, any childhood toy at all, Lego included, all got thrown in the garbage probably when I was around 13.
Is there a reason?
I think his dad might have done something similar to him. I don't know. I really didn't do well in school at that age. I was kind of acting out, not really listening.
So at 13, did they threw your toys away, took your bus pass, and then they gave you a taxi pass, and we're like, here, take a fucking taxi everywhere you want to go?
No, I was already reading comic books at that point. There was at this point from age 10 to like 13, we were living in my grandparents' house. My dad was there too. And there was a comic book store on the corner. So I was reading buying when Spawn 1 came out, and Todd McFarlane, was doing Spider-Man just before that. So I was already kind of like reading comics. And then it wasn't too far from that. At 13, we moved out to Long Island, and I kind of didn't have any toys at all out there. But there was the woods. And for someone who grew up to that point in Brooklyn and basically thought the entire planet was covered in cement and didn't realize there was actual areas where there was wildlife and stuff, I found the woods magical. Just the draw of just wanting to walk through around and just go off and explore and stuff.
So you thought the world was like Coruscant before anyone knew what Coruscant was.
Yes. Yeah.
Then you find the woods, and I had woods by me, so it was awesome. I know exactly. I know Ed will be like, "Oh my god, the guy wouldn't even go in the woods." No, I'm not a big woods person. I'm not a camper, but I mean, we had woods, and we rode our bikes, and we had this thing they called it Bell Taco, because It looked like a taco the way it was huge. And you ride your bike down, it went flat, then you jump your bike up. It was probably 8 feet high, like 8 feet deep, because it ran right along the river. And I never knew why they called it Bell Taco. Someone said it looks like a taco. So rather than call it Taco Bell, they called it Bell Taco.
Sounds like a common like suicide hill. I guess maybe you shouldn't say that word now on YouTube, but everyone used to call a hill somewhere near them that, you know, because you'd go down on your bike or whatever, and it was brutal.
No, yeah, and again, I mean, all the stuff you did in the woods, we had so much fun. You know, I not only skateboarding all those years, not wearing a helmet. It is one of those things you go, how did I survive? Like the amount of dumb things that we did. I mean, I did not a lot of dumb things on a skateboard. But
I rode my bike a lot, but actually, okay, before I left for Long Island in Brooklyn, I only rode a big wheel. I wouldn't ride the bike. I was too stubborn. Like, here's a bicycle. I didn't want to ride it. So yeah. But I was not a cooperative kid when they would try to get me to do stuff like spelling I was friendly enough, and I wasn't violent or anything. I didn't get into fights or anything like that, but I just was very stubborn about not doing things. I think it was probably some of the stress from the divorce and everything. I didn't understand any of the emotions I was feeling at the time. As a child, you just kind of go through it. But before I got to the woods, I would actually go hang out in like abandoned building lots in Brooklyn, because I would find it like it was weeds would be growing up, and I would pretend I was in the woods. Yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah, we had, because I grew up in condos, so there was always stuff seemed to be being built, and then they'd stop building them. So we had a lot of that type of stuff that would just kind of linger around. There's actually one set that it was built twice because it got burnt down, and then it sat there abandoned after a while. They started rebuilding it, and then ran out of money. And there was actually a place where it was right by the, like I said, I lived in condos, and the road now goes all the way through, but it ended. It was just L-shaped, and the apartments were here, but because the road was kind of collapsing, they put these dirt mounds so cars couldn't go through it, but there was enough space. We built all these ramps, and we'd steal this wood at night from these construction sites and build ramps. And we're a bunch of 13, 14, 15-year-old kids, and the construction workers would come over on their lunch break and sit on the mounds and watch us. And I'm like, no one, they don't ask where we got the wood from. Now, when you look back at it, you think they didn't give a shit. They were just working for the man. So yeah, like, those kids probably stole all their wood. Let's go see what they're doing with it.
It looks like they're having fun.
No one ever once said anything about it. It's such good times. Such good times. But you said you got into comic books
probably around 10. So actually, yeah, we keep going back. Yeah. When I moved in with my grandparents, my aunt lived there as well. And she was one of the original Trekkies from the first show in the 60s, and went to like the convention and stuff like that back in the day. So she had, before The Next Generation came out, she had all of the original series on VHS, and like even the whole animated. I don't know if you remember, there was an animated series with Kirk and Spock.
Yes.
So she got me into Star Trek, and also had a big box of comics that I ended up reading through, which had the Secret Wars in it, and some other things I probably never would have read, like John Sable Freelance, and this really cool series called Camelot 3000, which always sticks in my head, which was about King Arthur coming back to life in the future and aliens and stuff. It was kind of wild. I think it was a DC comic. It was a miniseries, 12-part miniseries. Yeah, actually worth a read. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, loved Star Trek. And right at that age, the Next Generation was coming out in the late 80s and really, really got into that quite a bit.
I love the Next Generation.
Mm-hmm.
That it was one of those ones that my buddy and I started watching in high school. And then you realize it was like new. I think it was on every Sunday. And so I remember we would talk about it, and I felt like you didn't want to think that you didn't want to say that it was better than the original, because you're a kid and you just think like the original has to be better. But as time went on, you're just like, this is just better.
Well, there was just more continuity, and the budget was probably way bigger. I don't know about the first season or two, but
the first season's bad.
Yeah, they were just figuring things out. It's kind of fun to watch, but it's kind of drags a lot.
Just the suits make it hard to watch.
That never bothered me.
Really? Oh, I hated I think a lot of it had to do with it when you saw the second season and on, where they finally had collars. They had no collars. It was a weird looking suit, is what I mean. Like the way and they talk about it too, the way it like hugged their body.
You noticed that as a kid? You didn't notice that as a kid.
I wasn't a kid. I was a teenager.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. You're old.
But I'm talking about now, like looking at it now, because I didn't start watching it right away. I probably didn't pick it up until the second or third season.
I'm sure I never saw every episode until Netflix came out, because trying to catch it all was hard. And buying those sets for $100 a season when even they were hitting DVDs was kind of...
I started watching it on TiVo when I got TiVo, and I would hit their season pass. So you'd see, once you caught that first episode, you'd be pretty good, but every now and then they'd skip a couple, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute.
When Netflix first came out and they were sending the DVDs to your mailbox, I watched all of The Next Generation, all of Enterprise, all of Voyager, and all of Deep Space Nine on those freaking DVDs.
The proper director says, "I'd love to introduce Star Wars fans to a Trekkie and tell them to wait for the other hates about their fandom, then just sit back and watch the show."
Well, I like Star Wars too, so.
No, it is funny. It is one of those things where it's like the DC Marvel, like you guys can't like each other. Like, why? I don't really understand why.
I read a bit of both.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. I mean, again, I
really liked Batman. Actually, my aunt, once again, she had The Dark Knight, Frank Miller's The Dark Knight, and that was the first graphic novel I read. And that was pretty dark when I was 10 years or 12 years old or whatever I was at that age. But have you ever read that?
No, I've seen. I know enough about it, but I've never read it. I got into comics later on. Like I had the G.I. Joe comics, and that's because you could get them at 7-Eleven. So when we were up at 7-Eleven, that's where we would get them, and I was getting them because I was watching the cartoon and I was playing with the toys, and then I'd pick up, like if they had a Thundercats or a Transformer. So I still have a lot of those, but I never got into Batman, X-Men, not till 90s. That's when I really got into comics. And boy.
Yeah, X-Men, I was reading the Fatal Attraction series, the ones that had the little holograms on them.
Yep.
When Magneto pulled out like Wolverine's.
That was my time. Like right before, I wouldn't say right before that, but within the years before that, Nightfall with Batman, when Bane breaks his back. That's when I really got into it. Age of Apocalypse. I fully remember them ripping out. That's why, spoiler alert, just if you watch the X-Men show, when they do that in the X-Men 97.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, sorry.
It's no worries.
It's been out long enough. I'll just say I never thought I would see that in the cartoon. And they do it, and you're like, holy shit. They really did that.
And something that happened right at that time frame too, and I don't know how much you were into it, but was the rise of video games. And Nintendo, I got a Nintendo NES probably 87 or 88.
Yep.
And then got a Super Nintendo around 90. And I was got the Super Nintendo in Florida because I used to go down for a week or two sometimes when my grandparents were in Florida for Passover. So that was I always looked forward to going to Florida, and I did that maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. I loved my grandparents. It was really enjoyable going down there. But video games took the place of toys, I would say, for me, and also gaming in general. I played, as I got older, Magic cards and Warhammer and all that really nerdy stuff.
I played video games. And we did play a lot, but I never became a gamer.
Mm.
And quickly, Wraith Mace has gifted 1 Punk membership,
Nice.
which means
Welcome to the Creamery.
and Lone Dragon is the recipient of that. So thank you. Where the hell did you get that? You're awesome. So what the hell were we talking about?
Video games. You didn't really get too far into them.
Oh yeah, so I played video games, but again, like I know how deep I would go into stuff, and I would play. And we bought my mom. So God, this would have been probably 88.
Okay.
Because my mom buy it? No, when did Final Fantasy come out?
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, around there.
Okay, so I thought my mom bought it. Myself, my buddy Chris, and my buddy Nick, we stayed up almost 4 days straight playing the game. And do you remember Final Fantasy?
I have it.
Okay, so you remember how the guys, they came out like this and they do this and they go back? So I ended up beating it by myself because Nick went home. He lived in the same neighborhood, but Chris lived a few miles, and he left one day, and he'll tell the story today. He's like, I'm riding my bike home down the side of the road, and all I can see, because I'm just trying to stay awake to get home, and all I see is guys coming out.
Yeah.
He said the whole bike ride home, that's all he could see. Because he was up for like 24 hours, probably longer than that. And then I beat the game on my own, actually in black and white. I've never even seen the final villain in color.
What?
It was on my black and white TV because I went downstairs because I moved my thing around, and it was so much fun. And that was probably like the only. And I remember they were like, "Yeah, we beat this pretty much at the same time it took the Nintendo Power people to beat it, like the pro gamers, which weren't even. I don't know if they were pro gamers yet at that time.
Yeah,
but yeah,
they made minimum wage or something back then.
Say hi to Sean Jones. Hello, Pumpkin Chat, and Richard Burns. And no, we'll do it quickly. Hold on. I'm still working this thing out, guys, because I'm not like some people here. The super chat, and
here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
And only for Woody, Radnom fart noises. Sorry to interrupt, but I gotta get milked since it's the creamery. And
oh man.
Now, if this was someone else that I didn't have on that I didn't talk to, I wouldn't play that on this, but you're special, so I let you.
It's all right.
Backwoods is here, and 80s Toy Boy. So, all right. So you get into your comics. You said 10 to 13. Did you stop?
Yeah, because I left Brooklyn and I couldn't walk to a comic book store anymore.
Okay. So where do you move in 13?
At 13, we moved to Long Island, which was out. Actually, it's the town's Manorville, but it's way out on Long Island, like 70 miles from the city. And go ahead.
Woody is lactose intolerant. I did find like the juiciest fart that I could.
That was definitely a wet one. No question.
So now you're not getting comics at all.
Right. I get out to Long Island, but something crazy happens. I look out the back door, the sliding door, and there's a freaking deer there. And I was like,
Wait.
done. It was just magical to me, that
Wait.
whole,
What was it?
a deer.
A deer. Okay. That was mad. Okay.
I never saw a deer before, not
Okay,
like
all right.
on a
I
field
just-
trip maybe, you know, but
Well, I heard deer and I thought maybe he meant bear.
no, not a Long Island.
Well, that's what I was thinking too, but because I was like, deer, like I have deer in the back and I live in a city. But okay. So you never seen a deer before because you grew up in Coruscant.
Right.
So all right, so what does it have to do with comics though?
Absolutely nothing. But I stopped reading. Look, my name is Random, okay? All right. So I stopped reading them at around 13. I would say all the Toy Central stuff, it turned into video games.
Okay.
And I was playing a lot of RPGs. So around that time, I would have been playing Shining Force, Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy 2, then Final Fantasy 3.
Were those on Super Nintendo or were those on computer?
Okay, so Shining Force was Sega Genesis, Secret of Mana and Final Fantasy 2 and 3 were Super Nintendo.
Oh, so you had multiple game systems.
I did.
So you
I
got
was
big
an
games.
only child, yeah.
Okay.
And I even got a Sega CD at one point to go on the Genesis, which Luna, the Star Story. What do we got? There are bears on Long Island. Yeah, Fire Island is known for those things. That's for sure. Yeah, I never would have guessed Random was into RPGs with a wizard hat on.
We should have known this was going to go like this, considering how it is in the clubhouse. And then these are all the people that show up there.
Yeah.
So we have no one to blame but ourselves. All right. So being the video games, you had Sega Genesis, which was fun at the time. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I had the Super Nintendo first. But then my friend, one of the neighbors, had a Sega Genesis, and he got me into some games on that, and I just eventually ended up with one. You know, Christmases pass, and you keep hounding people, and sometimes you get a flag, and sometimes you get a Sega Genesis. What do you want me to say?
Altered Beast. What was Shinobi? Those are the two games I fully remember on Genesis because my buddy had one.
Sega Genesis had some games that people don't think about too much with Sega Genesis that were the basis for a lot of computer games that came later. One of them being Warriors of Rome, which was a kind of like a strategy simulator game, almost like Civilization, but not quite.
Yep.
Nerdy. And then arguably the first RTS ever real-time strategy game was on the Sega Genesis, which was Herzog Zwei. Which almost not too many people will know that game, but you know what an RTS is, like Command and Conquer, Warcraft, computer Age of Empires. You ever play any PC games at all? Or,
No.
No, I didn't think
Not
so.
at all.
Yeah, but it transferred over from that. Obviously, became a very popular computer game genre, which I also got pretty big into PC games a little later on when I was able to get one.
So you're spoiled. You have Genesis, Super Nintendo, PC.
Well, I bought my PC, but my dad wouldn't get me a PC. So by the time I was 14, I was working in a kitchen, and I had to save up enough money to buy my own computer.
How much does something like that cost back then?
$1,600.
Oh my god!
Pops helped me with $400 though, so I wasn't totally. I was like, I still needed a helping hand, but I was really like dying to get that. I was really into computers. I thought it was the coolest
if
thing.
you're working at 14, you can't be making more than $5 an hour, if that.
$7 an hour, buddy. I was
Really?
I got it was a lucky kind of deal.
But even so, to get $1,200 at that age, you can't work full time, so that takes a long time. And I'm sure you didn't just save it all. I'm sure you spent it on little things here and there too. So
Yeah.
all right, so you're on Long Island.
Yeah.
No comics. You're playing video games.
Yep.
How long did you live there for? And like, did you leave before you graduated?
No, I graduated and I was in Texas 2 months later. But yeah, dude, how long have we been going? We're not even out of like my early mid childhood.
Only an hour.
Okay.
I have nowhere to go, but
Yeah.
work tomorrow at 8 a.m.
I have work at 7.
Okay, so we'll be done by then.
Yeah, no problem. As long as I get 1 or 2 hours of sleep. When you get to the ripe old age of Larry, you don't need that much sleep anymore.
No, because you know what, you go, oh wait, I can sleep in on Saturday. That's what I'll do.
Take long bathroom breaks or something.
Yes.
So around that age, I also started riding my bike everywhere and like far. 11 miles, no problem. Larry was sitting there saying, Rand was pointing at his flag.
Radnom said that he was spoiled.
What's crazy is I was probably one of the least spoiled kids where I was living at that point in time. They moved me out to, and this is crazy. So I went from a school in 7th grade that was a middle school in Brooklyn where there was 3,800 kids for 3 grades to a K through 12 where there was 700 children out on Long Island. Small town, all these kids grew up together. They all knew each other. And I'm just like awkward kid with poor communication skills, never had a sibling, likes to, ride the bus alone and play with Legos. Didn't work out too well for me for quite some time.
Who's that kid building Legos on the bus by himself?
Oh, dude, I brought my hamster to school one time. Yeah, they were calling me Rat Boy for like 2 years after that because I brought him and he used to sleep in my pocket. And I don't know what the heck I was thinking, man. I was a stupid kid. I put some litter and a little, food bowl and stuff for him, some water up in the top part of my locker. And he got into a girl's locker that was next to mine. And she was freaking out. And yeah, so, yeah.
So what happened to the hamster? You just got it back and
yeah, no, he was
home, and we're probably told never to bring it back to school.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. He was really chill. He used to just sleep in my pocket. I think that one was Scooter or Skeeter. I had Frisky, Spunky, Scooter, Skeeter. I don't know. Yeah. At one point I was breeding hamsters, so I had like 30 hamsters at one point, but yeah. Anywho.
You're pretty.
We would trade them for food and litter at the pet store back then. I know that's probably considered not a cool thing to do now or something, but
was it ever considered a cool thing?
I mean, as far as like, PETA might come and get me or something like that. I don't mean like cool, like, oh, I'm just getting all the chicks with me in my hamster herd. No, I meant, like,
I have a litter of hamsters.
Yeah, we want to come check them out. I let them out of the cage and they just poop everywhere. It's freaking awesome. Like,
so you were a virgin to your about.
Oh, dude, that's pretty close. It was close to early mid-20s. So you are pretty close to the mark with that.
Do not show people your litter of hamsters. Like that's not a turn on to girls, from what I understand. I might be wrong, right?
Yeah, I don't know. You might. There's always that. Look, as you get older, you realize there's always someone that's into it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Let's hide a grievance really quick and tools of the trade. All right. All right, so I don't even know what the fuck. I have no idea because we barely made it to litter. You were talking about high school,
right?
So
I was a very awkward kid in high school, and I was bullied a bit because I didn't fit in. I didn't understand social structures at all. Like I didn't understand that there were cool kids and not cool kids. I didn't understand that money or anything made people cliquish and just didn't get it. I was just floating around in a cloud of random, and I didn't understand. Yeah, I just did not understand any of that at all. Completely clueless.
What's the hamster stuff that they use? What's the stuff that you fill their
Birch bark.
Yes. My daughter had a couple.
That stuff smells good. I like the way it smells.
Yeah, she only had one hamster that lasted like a year. The other ones, one got wet tail.
Yeah, dude. Look, I cared for the hamsters, but some of them, they're not a pet for small kids, and like when I was young, we're not going to get into it, but I don't recommend hamsters for younger people.
No, because hamsters are nocturnal.
Well, it's not only that, they're just not meant for grabbing on, and you have to be very gentle with hamsters.
But they don't want to be played with during the day, and that's when kids are up.
Which is why he would sleep in my pocket in school, probably.
Wade says, so that explains the hat.
There you go.
All right. So through high school, you're breeding hamsters, playing video games. And I started going to the comic book shop playing Magic cards. Magic cards exploded when I was about 9 or 10. So we're just further down the virgin nerd hole as we can possibly go. And it just keeps going, dude. I can't write this shit if I wanted to.
And I'm reading, or what am I reading at that time? The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, Dune, Robert Jordan books, Michael Moorcock, the Elric Saga, support your local. I mean, a bunch of just, nerdy fantasy and science fiction kind of stuff.
Three-star. This sounds like an RPG. You enter a hallway and open a locker. You meet the Hamster King.
A Hamster King. I have a quest for you.
I'll tell you what, the hat doesn't help because I can fully see you wearing the hat, still having this long beard, but have a child's-like face.
No, man, I look like
and
a
you're
little
the hamster.
kid. The Hamster King. I couldn't grow facial hair.
Oh, hey, well, you know what?
That's about it right now.
This is it, man. Like I get straggles. I can honestly remember being in middle school and my buddy Nick and my other buddy Doug, and they were in either 8th grade or 9th because I was a year behind them, and they had to shave every single day. Like that's how much hair. They had big hair and they all hair on their legs. I still don't. I still barely have any hair on my legs. I have no hair on my arms. Very thin. And I remember making a comment about it, and they go, and I just remember one of them saying, "You don't want to have to shave. I have to shave every single day." And
do you know how much money I've freaking saved since I've done this? This is 9 years I haven't shaved, and it's amazing, dude. Like you shave your head. Razors are freaking expensive if you try and keep up with it. Did you ever go to summer camp? That's a random question.
No.
Oh, dude, I went to some good summer camps. And here's the thing about the spoiled part, because I'm listening to myself here. I'm like, oh my God, was I that spoiled? I wasn't really. When I was with my mom, she was broke. My dad didn't buy me too much, but he took care of everything. Like I was, $100 was the whole year's expenditure for clothes kind of thing, Yeah.
And that is almost the deepest.
Ed's getting a little too excited over there. You better. But my grandparents, like I said, they would. My grandma would buy me stuff, so they paid for summer camps and stuff. But I went to some really cool summer camps.
Allison says, "I want video footage of Larry milking a cow."
I mean,
that shit ain't happening. All right?
Look, if our channels ever blow up, I will remember this moment and I will try to get Larry to do a milking a cow challenge. We'll be in a field somewhere. It could happen.
if I'm ever making the actual YouTube money that some of you guys think that I am, I will be more than happy to go milk a cow for all of you. All right. But
Milking.
until that happens, you guys could just believe how much money I make on YouTube because it's a really good story. Thank you, Toy Crustacean.
Just gross.
Just,
That's just gross.
all right, so wherever the hell we were at, you were in high school. You were going to summer camp.
Summer camp. What did we do, man? We did like rock climbing and archery and rafting and.
Were you teaching the archery? I'm assuming like you were already a professional.
I was
After taking your mom out.
It took me a second to get that joke.
You're like,
no.
what is this? Where's the Tinker Toys?
Yeah. That's when I saw my first bear, though. Was in that summer camp. We went camping, hiking down the Appalachian Trail, which someone is going to say it's Appalachian, tomato. And this guy, he was like the camp counselor dude, but he was like this kind of outdoorsman dude. And he decided we need to camp on this cliff. And we're maybe 20 or tents are set up like 10 to 20 feet away from the cliff. And this bear comes along in the middle of the night. We got our stuff tied up, and the bear is just like walking around and trying to, look up the tree and stuff where we have our stuff tied up in a tarp. And we're all just like poking our heads out of the top of our tents, like, dude, freaking bear. Like, I never saw a bear before. And yeah, nothing happened. Obviously, he's just doing his thing, but it was cool. Pissing off that cliff was pretty cool too. I remember that in the morning.
How do you handle knowing that there's a bear there that can just?
Well, the counselor had a rifle on him for one, but not that. I don't know. What do you mean? How do you handle it? You're just a kid. It's just a bear.
But I mean, like, how do you like? Aren't you not shitting bricks?
Nah, I didn't. I mean, if he got closer, I would have been for sure. I mean, he was more interested in the food than he was us.
Yeah. Have you seen the Instagram reel of the baby bear biting the chick's chin?
No.
So it's a guy. I forget what his name is. He always does things how he would handle things, and it shows him. He always like beats up sharks or alligators or takes on an elephant. He does hilarious shit, and he shows how he would take. How would he handle if this happened? Well, we had gone up north to the upper peninsula here, and we went to one of the bear farms. And this was when my son, I want to say it was before Olivia was even born. No, Olivia would have been born because who we were visiting. So Andrew was maybe 3, and they put they'll have a cub in a chair, right? And like you can sit with the cub and kind of pet it, whatever. And they have Fruit Loops to distract the bear because Fruit Loops will save your life. And we have pictures of them, like pictures of me and my son next to the bear, right? And the bear started kind of chomping on my arm, right? And she gives a Fruit Loops and let's go, whatever. And we get done and walk out.
You see, you're just saying that casually now, like, oh, how do you handle a bear? You just said casually, the bear starts chomping on my arm. Like,
it was a cub.
Okay.
Right? So we finished, they give it Fruit Loops. We walk out and Susan, my kid's mother, goes, "Oh, you look really scared." I go, "Look at my arm. You could see the indentation."
I was gonna say, even a cub,
and
they're very fragile next to them. They can just.
Oh yeah, I go. If that cub wanted to just shatter my arm, there's nothing I could do.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh my God." I was like, "Oh, but don't worry. You saw they had Fruit Loops, right?"
Yeah.
And so it's become a running joke because she was like, "Wow, you look really scared." I was like, I didn't want to freak out because my son was right there, But what if it would have been my son and he would have started? I mean, he was a baby. But again, they have Fruit Loops. So I just saw this little video go on, and this cub, about the same size, just latches onto her chin. So I sent it over to my ex, and I was like, "See, This is what could have happened.
I mean, have you not seen like the videos on the honey badger?
No.
Oh my god, dude! You've never seen the honey badger don't care, dude.
I don't think so.
So this is like a 30-pound animal. It destroys things. Like the lions are scared of it. I mean, it does. An animal can be small, dude. How have you not seen the honey badger video? That is wild, man. I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to find it and send it to you because this thing, it like gets bit by a snake, poisonous snake. It doesn't care. It takes a little nap and then it just like gets up and goes about its business. It's a very, very wild creature.
So Not Retro says, how do you handle a bear run faster than at least one other person?
Exactly, Rachel.
No, like I said, it was.
And Larry's got short legs, so he's a good friend to have around.
You'd be surprised. It was fast.
Dude, people who are shorter have a lower center of gravity and tend to bowl you over pretty quick when they run into you.
That's what I tell the little kids when skateboarding that want to like cut in my way, especially the scooter kids. They don't want to have. Yeah,
you're like a bowling ball.
And that's exactly an analogy that I use. I go, you don't want me running into you. Well, if it's an accident, I go, no, you don't understand. First off, I'm doing something I probably shouldn't at this age. Second off, you're talking about 200 pounds barreling into you. A lower center of gravity, like you said.
Right. And it's not like you're going to be able to bail as quickly as you would have been able to when you were younger.
Yeah, and it's not this big fat piece coming at you. It's pretty solid. Right? I'm just saying, like, it's a solid almost 200 pounds barreling at you, probably about 15 miles an hour. Little kid, you don't want me to go through you, right? I'm just saying. It happens, but it happens less if you pay attention.
By the way, Allison is looking up that video for you because she said there is no excuse for you not knowing about the honey badger. You're not giving an F. So that was a moment on the internet that was quite big for a while.
I've probably seen it once it gets sent to me and be like, oh, I remember that. Or I'll be like, hey, I totally missed it. I don't like a lot of graphic things.
Yeah, and Machine Man, the voiceover was really funny for it.
Oh, geez. And I don't think I saw it. I don't bully kids at the skate park. That's not what I said.
He doesn't bully them as long as they pay the taxes. As long as they pay their dues, he leaves them alone. Otherwise, he knocks them out of the way and stuff.
Let's just say that God, what can we say? We can just say that there's a lot of scooter kids don't pay attention and they just drop in because they think they can go, and you have to explain to them. And since kids really only know one thing, and that is you yelling at them, most of them will get it. Other ones won't get it till someone pulls them aside and goes, yeah, you should just listen to the guy. I'm not threatening you. I'm just telling you, you're not going to like what happens if I accidentally have to run into you.
Right. I'm sure they don't realize that they're actually causing any dangerous situation because they're kids. But
Backwoods, there should be some on my YouTube channel if you go way, way, way back. I think they're all still there. So I didn't really remove anything. So I think they're all still there. Because when I first started the channel, it wasn't
toys?
No, it was just anything I wanted because it was just.
What was it called?
It was just my name.
Oh, okay.
And then it became Punk Rock Skate Dad.
Okay.
And then it became a Punk with Toys.
How long ago was that?
Ooh.
You know what year you started?
What year I started?
Your channel, like when you.
I was just putting stuff on YouTube. As a matter of fact, it might not be here. It may be on. The skateboarding stuff may be on Death by Coping. But I don't even have that much stuff on there. But I don't know where it would be. Because I'm trying to think. But you have to scroll all the way back and see. I didn't like deleting anything.
Right.
But what is weird is when you change your name.
Well, your channel was created in 2006, so that's pretty old.
Yeah, but I just want to just like start. It that's when I created a YouTube. I don't think I really put anything on there. But if you looked at Social Blade, it would probably say 2020 or something, 2020. Because when you change your name, Social Blade will change.
Okay.
At least that's what I noticed. Like when people change their name, it looked like that's when it changes because now that's what Social Blade is looking for. So everything before that, it doesn't really log when it was under Punk Rock Skate Dad.
So totally not random historical information, but Mr. Beast has a platform now that's similar to Social Blade that he just was talking about the other day. I went on there and checked it out, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was actually pretty good information. Like the graphs were nice.
Really?
And yep. And I was able to find my channel on there.
I'll Google that later on tonight. Well, maybe not tonight. Maybe this week.
Yeah, one of these days.
All right, we haven't even got out of high school yet.
Oh yeah. High school. So I worked at a country club as a dishwasher, which they used to call us piss boys. And they would literally scream, "Piss boy!" We need this and that.
Wow.
So, but like I said, I was happy to get that because I was making like $7 an hour, and all my friends were making like 4 or something. Whatever they made it. The absolute minimum wage was at McDonald's or 7-Eleven or wherever. But I worked way too much because this place was on a golf course, and they did weddings, and so that's quite intense too when you have to cook for 400 people. I didn't do any of the cooking, but I did do like prep work and stuff. Cut up 5 million strawberries. Deveined shrimp and stuff like that. But I was working sometimes until 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning on school days. And then I would come home and I was like 15, 14 years old, 16, whatever. And yeah, I mean, I just didn't even, and I was, at this point, I was already probably, 14, around 14, I was already drinking a little. And maybe smoked something here and there once in a while at that point while wandering the woods looking like a junior Gandalf. So, yeah, I don't know where to go.
I was working 40 to 50 hours my senior year at Ponderosa. And I remember asking my boss, I go, "How do you get away with that with labor laws?" "Oh, we just tell them you dropped out of school." I go, "That works there?" They don't check.
Yeah, I kind of probably shouldn't talk too much about that, but yeah.
It's long past. I mean, what are they going to do, right?
Yeah.
All right, so you graduate from high school. Did you go to college at all?
No college. Hold on. Wait.
Okay.
All right. So no, I'm not going to tell that one either because that's not good. I will say this, though. Those golf carts at the country club.
Wait. The statute of limitations is well over for that.
I know. No, so the guys, we used to, I didn't do it. Other people did it. They would take a golf tee and stick it in this part of the motor. Like you would pull the seat up and open I don't know anything about engines because I'm just not a car engine person, but they would open it up and stick a golf tee in there and it would make the thing go like a bat out of hell. And the golf cart would go like 45, 50 miles an hour probably. I mean, it was crazy. It would get so hot that it would shoot flames out the back sometimes when it would, over like backfire, and you could see the parts of the engine glowing red and crap like that. So we would go hauling ass on these things and they would do 360s and all kinds of crazy stuff. And one time I'm sitting in the passenger seat and these guys are doing this and we're definitely not underage and wasted. And the golf cart flips over because, it's a golf course and there's hills and shit. So the back tire went from kind of a smooth kind of area of grass to a rough patch of grass as it was skidding. and it flips. And I fall out the side. And I'm freaking out, like scrambling down this hill. And the golf cart has a roof, a sunroof on it. And it is rolling, flying through the air off. This is the sunroof. This is the meat of the golf cart. And I just remember looking like, and seeing like the little handle, the metal handle you hold on the side. And the whole weight of the golf cart lands on me, right like that, on my hip. I see stars, and it just continues to go down the hill. The whole roof is like all crunched in. It's all jacked up. I'm like numb. I like jacked up. I couldn't get up. And these guys are tripping, right? They're like stoned to the bone. I'm like, I can't move. And I'm like, we might need an ambulance. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay. And they just pick me up. And I'm like, oh, but I don't know. Ow, and they put me on the roof of the golf cart. And
wait, it still worked?
It still ran, yeah, but they had to like get under it and like kind of do one of these. And we were supposed to be throwing the trash, so they drive me back over to the trash. And I'm like, all right, dude, I can't, like, I couldn't move. I was kind of jacked up, and they tell me they're going to get help, and they leave me there. And we're all just kids. And so the bartender comes out, throwing garbage away again. And this is like at the back of the parking lot. It's far away from the building. And the bartender comes out and he's like, what the hell is going on? I'm just like laying there shivering. I'm in shock. I'm shaking. I'm near the freaking dumpster laying on this golf cart. And then I got my first encounter with Vicodin shortly thereafter. But fortunately, there was no kind of real damage, permanent damage. But just the jolt of it.
Are you sure about that?
I don't know about that. It was amazing that I didn't break anything. But just the jolt of it made it where I couldn't walk right for like a month. I was all stiff and jacked up, and took some time.
Holy shit, dude! Like,
yeah,
it's funny because like my stepmother, she worked at Detroit Receiving Hospital. She's a nurse, and she's like, you have no idea how many times like they pull in, they throw someone's out that's been shot, and then just fucking take off. And that's what I'm picturing your friends doing.
They were not my friends. They were my coworkers.
Okay. That's what I picture your coworkers doing. They took you back. They just threw you fucking there, left you like Detroit Receiving.
Dude, they left me. The bartender was like, oh my God. And, he's just like, yeah.
Same time Toy says, definitely going to catch up on this replay. Random is my favorite diorama maker.
Well, thank you, Same Time Toys. Appreciate that. Hey, yo, Vicodin. Yeah, Vicodin was like, that was interesting at that age.
You know what? I would say I've taken very few Vicodins in my entire life.
I would not say that.
Even when I had like my teeth pulled.
Yeah.
I tried not to.
I'm like that now. I avoid every kind of anything that makes me feel weird now. Yeah. I don't do anything like that. But there was a point in my life where that was not the case.
All right. So that's one golf course story. Do you want to tell more, or should we?
I don't want to go too deep into that with that place, probably.
I don't know. I kind of want to do a whole episode on this.
There's definitely a whole episode just on that job. There's no question. There's no question.
All right. So that's in high school.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you graduate.
I had to take 2 summer classes to graduate high school. And actually, I needed to take 3 years of gym in my senior year because I used to cut gym all the time and go walk around the woods or whatever I felt like doing at the time. I was really just not great at expectations, and I didn't understand why people wanted me to do what I was supposed to do, and I just didn't listen. Like everyone got along with me, but I just was
God, I made my personal Instagram private. I think that even on my Instagram now, you can find a picture of me with my hair that's when it's 10 inches long, and then I shaved it. That was probably 6 years ago.
I could see you with a mullet.
Nope, no, it was just all long. There's lots of pictures of me with longer hair. Going back to when I was a kid and people try and make fun of me because I took a picture with my bangs in my face. And they're like, wow, that's embarrassing. I'm like, fuck, no, it ain't. It looks fucking awesome.
Well, I remember I'm walking down the road in high school next to my friend, and I was still short at this time. I was probably about 4'11", and I had long hair, like just, kind of. It was, mid '90s. I was into Nirvana, Pearl Jam, that kind of thing. Had the long hair, and my dad says, "Oh, I was driving down the road and I see your friend Matt." And he's like, and I thought Matt had a new girlfriend. And then I realized it was my son. I said, well, thank you, Dad, very much for that. So yeah, that was kind of that was kind of conservative on some of that stuff. Which was funny because they were kind of hippies too back in their time. My mom went to Woodstock. They were right around that era. But Dad was done with all that stuff. Quit all that when I was younger.
So when your parents got divorced, you said you went and lived with your dad.
Yeah. No, I lived with my mom for 3 years, and then I
right.
moved in with my dad and my grandparents.
So you were still seeing your mom though, right?
Man, so I would go from Long Island by myself. My dad or my stepmother would drop me off at the train station, the beginning of the Long Island Railroad, which I would ride for like 40 or 50 miles or something like that, all the way through Queens into Brooklyn, and take 2 buses to go visit my mom every other weekend by myself from the time I was 13.
Okay, so I guess I don't know how far away that is, but how far is Long Island from?
So Long Island, you have New York, the main land, then you have Manhattan comes down the middle, and then Long Island is right jutting off this way. Now, on Long Island is Brooklyn and Queens.
Okay.
And then you have Nassau County, and then you have Suffolk County. Long Island's about 110 miles long, so it's a pretty long island.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I guess I wouldn't imagine that you were going that far to get to see your mom. But you said your parents would drive you to the train station.
Yep.
You
And it was
take that.
a diesel train.
Now, was there a reason that did your bus pass not get you there?
No, that was a New York City bus pass, dude. That did not get me
there. So how often, do you mind me asking how often you were seeing your mom?
Yeah, about every couple of weeks.
Okay, so it wasn't like it just happened like every few months you would see her. You saw her on a regular basis.
Very regular. I was very, very attached to my mom and kind of defensive a little bit too. She was kind of like the black sheep in the family, so I was very close with her at that point in my life.
All right, so let's get to your graduation. Well,
okay. So, I failed math. I don't remember why, but it's irrelevant. The funny part is I failed English, not because I failed it, but because I jumped out the window during the final. So the window was open and there was a butterfly out there and I just jumped out after it, man. And my English teacher really liked me, but he just was tired of my shit and he failed me. And the whole class kind of snitched on me, to be quite honest. So I jump out the window and I run around the side door and run back in and open the door real slowly and get in the class. And the teacher's looking out the window, trying to figure out why everyone's laughing. And I sneak back in my chair and sit down. And he turns around and walks right by me and has no idea that it was me that went out the window or why everyone was laughing and pointing out the window. And then people snitched me out. And then I got a 0 on my final that year. So I had to take that in summer school.
Okay. I'm almost afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Now, I can understand if you saw a hamster outside the window.
No.
What were you doing with the butterfly?
I don't know, dude. It looked like such a beautiful day. And the biggest thing was there was no screen on that window. And it just felt like it was an open door to freedom, which was met with immediate regret as soon as I went out there, which is why I ran right back in the building when my brain kicked on and realized this was a stupid idea. But
This would have been senior year.
senior year,
You're smart enough to know this was dumb.
look, I was perpetually in trouble in high school. Like I had more in-school suspensions than anyone. I mean, it was like years where I had 16 or 17 in-school suspensions. And I was never like doing anything really horrible. Just a teacher would tell me to do something. I would say no. They'd threaten me with, we're going to give you detention. I'd say, why don't you give me 2? And then it would just keep going from there. And I just was not good at listening.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting that.
Yeah.
So, you did graduate, though,
I did.
after doing summer school?
I went to summer school and got like, I don't remember, like 98, 95 in both classes because I realized if I didn't do this, I was not going to have a high school diploma. So I got my act together for those two. And I actually used to ace most of my midterms and final tests. I used to do really good. I just never did any homework assignments because I didn't want to. You know, it was that. That was exactly what was going. I would calculate how many assignments I could miss and have to make which grades in order for me to
You
be
sound like
okay.
my son.
Mm.
I'm not even joking. Like, that is the shit he pulled with us.
Yeah, it's chronic underachiever.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
All right. So you graduate.
I did.
I use that very loosely.
It was loosely. Yeah.
So you said 2 months after that you were in Texas.
So a year prior, my mom. Oh boy. My mom had some hard times here and there, and she was living in a place where a lot of people kind of, I don't want to say it was a halfway house, but it was like a place where people might have a recovery, not from drugs, but I'm sure there was some of that in there. But it was a government funded kind of place she was staying in at that point, and she met this guy who he got into a car accident and he won a lawsuit for $250,000. He wasn't too bright, and he was also a crackhead, but he had a brother in Texas, and he got some money and they moved to Texas. And my mom was like, well, that sounds better than living where I am. So she moved with him to Texas. And I was pretty aggravating to my father, I would say, and my stepmom. They loved me, but I was difficult at times. And
No.
yeah, they were ready for me to kind of go out and do some things on my own. So as soon as I said Texas, they're like, yep, that sounds great. Because I actually changed my mind, and they were like, nope, hold on, let's get your stuff. Go ahead.
No, we already got your train ticket there.
Yeah, no, it was a plane. So, yeah. At which point my grandpa tried to step in and tell me he would give me an apartment for free because they had a 2-family house in Brooklyn. I could move in there, live for free. And he would pay for my college, which I didn't even understand what that was. I was so like off in Never Land. I didn't even understand any of that. But he didn't want me to spend time with my mom. And he had a decent reason for that. Like he was looking out for me, but I didn't understand it at the time. And it made me very angry. And, I yelled at my grandpa a little bit. And this is my dad on my dad's side. And I suppose at this point it would kind of play into say, because we didn't really talk about it. My dad's side is Jewish and my mother's side is Italian.
You go to your bedroom.
Yeah, there's already a treadmill in it. Oh, dude, yeah. We're just painting the walls in here. Yeah, I can see what these curtains might look like. Yeah.
You said you were moving to Texas. Nope, you got to go. Hey, what's this treadmill? Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. So my grandpa, now looking back on it, he was getting ready to have me in there and help me out with my life and everything, and I just couldn't understand what he was trying to do, which was very sad because I never really had a good talk with him when I was older, because by the time I saw him again, he was in a hospital and not totally with it, which kind of sucks. So it's never good to leave things on a bad note like that with people.
Oh, I tell my son that all the time.
Yeah, I totally lost my train of thought again.
We were talking about the treadmill that was replaced.
Oh, yeah. Moved to Texas.
Where your bed used to be.
So I get to Texas, and, it's August 29th, I want to say, I think was the date. It was very end of August.
That's hot.
Okay, so it was not in New York, It was like in the morning, I had a button-down shirt on and slacks, and I get on the plane, and I get off the plane, and I never in my freaking life felt like the heat that I walked into. I couldn't understand what was going on. I was just like, what the hell is, and my mom's like, you got to come in the shade. And I'm like, what is going on here? It's like 107 degrees or some crap. And so lived in Texas in a 1-bedroom efficiency apartment studio with my mom, her boyfriend, and me for, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 months. By the time I got there, in between people ripping him off and him squandering the money on just weird stuff, he was down to maybe like $12,000. Mom was working. He had like 5 or 6 used cars, which I don't know what the point of that was. He had a big heart, though. I mean, I know she said he spent a bunch of money on taking all the neighborhood kids to Six Flags. He liked doing stuff like that. I know his brother, I want to say, ended up scamming him for like 80 grand, and his lawyer got him for a certain amount too. Anywho, neither here nor there. We get a 2-bedroom apartment after I start working. Temp service, got a job in a mailroom. And he gets into the drugs again. And I come home, or me and my mother come home. And
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I had the same fucking.
What?
When you said you moved into a studio, 1-bedroom.
Oh.
Your mom. Oh my God! Did you have to
No.
watch them? I was like, oh my God.
No, not at all.
I didn't want to go there, but the profit director did.
It's a fair question, but no, fortunately that did not happen. Yeah, I guess not a studio, a 1-bedroom efficiency, not a studio, 1 room.
Okay.
So anyway, he robbed a bunch of my stuff. And he had some problems with a guy he owed money to, came in, took, I don't know exactly what happened. That's what he said. So we moved out, and we end up living, and this is back to what this guy just said, moving in the back of an 80-something-year-old Pentecostal woman's house. Me and my mother in a 1 room. We lived in 1 room together for about 9 months, and we had a hamster. And this was crazy because at this time, I'm working and I was still smoking. Anyway, we could just fast forward by that. I don't even know what the heck, dude. I don't even feel like going through every time I move because there were so many freaking moves, like one apartment to another apartment. I was working in the mailroom. I made some friends. Started playing Dungeons and Dragons again in Texas. That was good. Eventually may have overextended myself with some of the extracurricular activities I was doing in the chemically oriented department. And I no longer enjoyed weed after that because it made me paranoid as shit. And I remember laying on the ground with my cat talking to me one day, and it was freaking me out. And it was like I had to stop that. So I was drinking pretty heavy at that point. A lot of drinking still going on. I don't know, man. Interject something there.
Have we got to you losing your virginity yet? Like,
Mm-mm.
holy!
Oh no, dude, not yet.
I'm sorry. I think I should.
Not yet.
All right. So, and I'm sure playing in Dungeons and Dragons made it much easier.
No, actually, there's chicks that play Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, there was actually probably.
You're right. The nerd alert. I've been driving, working while listening. I'm so dying over the hamster in the locker.
Yeah, man, hamster in the locker, rat boy. I'm like, it's not a rat.
Especially New York. Like they should know what a rat looks like.
Not in Long Island, dude. Long Island's like the woods out there.
Really?
Yes,
I don't know anything about New York. Like,
dude. Where Ed lives is like freaking the middle of nowhere. He's in New York. Upstate New York is.
Yeah, but he's upstate. But I didn't know that's where Long Island.
Oh yeah, when you get further and further out on Long Island, it's like they got pine barrens out there. I mean, I lived right next to I don't know how many tens of thousands of acres of woods.
Okay. So quickly.
Have a drink on me.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Now you're all picturing Shane McMahon coming out. Thank you, Black Genghis, for the $4.99 super chat. I hope you had a wonderful. I caught a little bit of your show with Mark from Gridiron and Tony, and I'll actually have Black Genghis on next week.
Awesome.
Hopefully, he has hamsters toys too.
I mean, we all have some hamsters in our closet, I'm sure.
Is that what we're calling it now? A hamsters in our closet.
Look, man,
you need to get
strange,
a random hamster shirt. Like you need to get a random hamster shirt to sell.
I think I just decided that a hamster needs to be my next channel member emoji that I make.
Hell yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Anyway, so where were we at? You're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
God, I don't know. There's a lot of virgin activities.
Picking up chicks in the dungeon.
No, I was not. I was playing Dungeons and Dragons in a comic book shop with a bunch of guys that were like way older than me, maybe a couple of people my age. There was one dude that was like 40 something years old, sanitation worker, used to drive me home after our Warhammer Quest campaign that we had going.
Oh my.
I would ride my bike to the comic book shop, which was like 12 miles away. But in the middle of the night when we got wrapped up, one of the older guys would always give me a ride home.
And you and in this age, you're what, 18, 19?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just went backwards again. I'm sorry. I'm tripping.
No,
Yeah. That was when I was around 16, 17. So, okay. Dungeons and Dragons in Texas was fun. It was a bunch of work and, people that we worked together with. So I worked in a mail room and I knew all these guys in this delivery company. And one of the guys DM'd a small group and one of the other guys played as well. And then his wife played and we had some other players. And this was the first time me playing D&D as an adult where I could actually, enjoy an adult beverage while we were playing Dungeons and Dragons.
So now you're 21.
Probably not.
So you're enjoying it so illegally, though.
Probably still that. Yeah. I mean, it was on the cusp. There was some this way, some that way. So it was like maybe 20 to 22 is this time frame.
Okay.
Because there is definitely a point where we were roommates. I was roommates with that guy, and his wife had bought him a handle of Captain Morgan. I think it might have been his birthday.
What is the handle of Captain?
The handle is the big bottle with the handle.
Okay.
I know I'm talking to Mr. Straight Edge here. So.
I know.
You're like, what the heck?
Is that something new?
Like a 1.75 liter of liquor.
Okay.
And I was underage at this point, I'm pretty sure. And I took it without his permission with my mom there. And I drank so much of it, I got alcohol poisoning. I decided that I was going to. I had the munchies and I was eating pickles, and I ran out of pickles. So while I was doing this rum shots, I decided pickle juice chasers would be an awesome freaking idea, dude. And yeah, I threw up blood. Like I remember throwing up so freaking bad that I was out of commission for like 2 days. I couldn't even get out of bed. I was just like passed out, and my mom was like wiping me down with a cloth and like checking my vitals every so often. But yeah.
So, is it safe to say that maybe that your mom was kind of an enabler, and that's why your grandfather didn't want you?
My
I
mom.
don't mean to touch any.
No. It's fine. My mom has some psychological issues that, and she's also not really great at the lines on stuff like that either. But yes, yeah, I mean, sort of. Well, her boyfriend, she had like crazy boyfriends. I mean, I smoked my first joint with one of her boyfriends when I was 13 years old. And the other guy used to get me beer all the time when I was 14, 15. I mean, whatever. And yes, I definitely wanted to be around my mom because she would let me get away with basically whatever, obviously. And that's not uncommon with mom and dad situations, I think.
Yeah.
Although this might have been a little bit extreme. But no, my grandpa, a lot of it was he really, really, really wanted me to be Jewish. Had no other grandchildren whatsoever. And
is that why you grew the beard out?
No, it's not. It's not. But he really wanted me to officially convert to Judaism because my dad is Jewish, but my mother is Catholic. So for Judaism, Orthodox Judaism, your mother has to be Jewish, or you have to go through a conversion process. But yeah, he really, really wanted that because he was coming to the end of his life and he didn't have anyone that he felt that was taking things, the family name seriously. I don't think was part of his thing, and he was just looking out for me.
And Diorama is a Jewish last name?
No, but Klein is, or in America it is anyway.
We have a very strong Jewish population, and we have a school system that is all Orthodox Jews. And so it's I can't say I know about them, but I'm around a lot of them and see like
this is why I loved. Okay, you go.
No, I just like how they dress. Like I'm still like, how many black dresses can you have? I'm not even
there's levels to that. There's levels to it.
Anytime I see like a dark navy blue one, I'll be like, oh my god, that's a navy blue one. They're breaking the format.
Yeah, a little out there today, getting adventurous. Yeah.
So like I don't know. I mean I'm not gonna say like an expert, but I see how how they are, and
This is why though I related so much with Spock as a kid, because Spock was half human and half Vulcan. A child of two worlds. And I had this constant thing going on when I was a kid where when I was born, my grandparents made sure I had, a bris and the circumcision in the Jewish fashion where they throw a party and there's prayers and stuff said over you. But then my mom made sure I went to Wednesday school to go get my first communion in the Roman Catholic Church. And then my grandpa made sure that I was going to, there for the Sabbath on the weekends so we could do all that. And then so by the time I was 18, I was a total atheist, which lasted for a very long time, but that changed in my mid-30s. But yeah, I was totally confused, man.
I can fully get it.
Yeah.
My dad is Catholic. My mother was Lutheran, and I recently told a story. We had to go to church every Sunday. My mom didn't because she was Lutheran, and Transformers were on at the same fucking time. So I never saw Transformers till it was on a different time. I tried sleeping in.
Transformers, time to go to church.
I told my dad that I'd watch one of those church shows on Sunday.
Oh, trying to make up for it, like compromise.
I remember when you finally gave up. I would try and act like I was sleeping. All I wanted to do was, I didn't want to go to church anyway, but the fact that Transformers were on and I was You had a VCR, maybe you could make it work, but half the time you couldn't.
You had a VCR at that point?
We had a beta.
I was gonna say, man, that was all metal top loader probably at that stage, right?
No way. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we would have had, because he had his stab between beta and VHS. He went with beta, and by the end of it, the only fucking store that were rented betas, because it was big in California still, is, I swear, I've talked to Sarge about it. I'm like, are you sure this was never a video game or a video store? He's like, no. So because I remember where it was. It's one of those stores right next to Sergeant Red's, if not that store. Because I vividly remember walking into it and everything. Sarge swears that their store was never that. And I'm like, well, then it was one of these stores, because I remember having to come out here. And it was the only place we could get it because we had beta. Matter of fact, my dad still has 2 John Wayne movies. I don't remember which ones on beta.
I never had Betamax, but I knew what it was.
Yeah, no one had it but us.
Yeah, not that many people had it, man. Like I said, the first time I had a VCR was probably late 80s, and it was a hand-me-down from my grandpa on my mom's side. And it was, 25 pounds solid metal top.
Oh, yeah, they were
lasting for like 15 years or something like that.
We never had a top loader, though.
That thing was so cool, dude. You hit the button and I'd like to have one now.
I always wanted a top loader because I thought they were cooler. But ours, you inserted it and then it ejected it. Of course, Nintendo couldn't figure out that technology. All right, so you're in Texas.
Yep.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons.
You're not living with your mom anymore.
No, I'm living with my mom.
Okay, I thought you.
Well, my mom is living with me at this point, basically. Okay. So at that point, I was paying the majority of the rent. Yeah, we were and we had a roommate and his wife. That situation got crazy for a little while. We actually started getting way too many people in that apartment. But it was fun because we had 1999, 98. I already had a LAN going in the apartment with parts I got pieced together from computers they were throwing away at work. And we were able to play Warcraft and Total Annihilation with like 4 players on the computers with our Dungeons and Dragons group too. So we would sometimes do that in the apartment, which was pretty wild at that point in time for, the virgin nerd crowd. And but man, I loved it. I had a blast doing that. The drunken virgin nerd crowd. Yeah. Oh, we were right next to the lake too, because I missed the water so much being in Texas from New York. It was driving me nuts. So the next time when we moved out from the Pentecostal lady's house, oh no, we actually moved to Las Colinas for a while, but then we got thrown out from there from having too many people in the apartment. Yeah.
I'm starting to see why your grandfather didn't want you to move.
Yeah. Needless to say, my life never really stabilized much, if you could even call it that now. And until I was old enough to kind of, all right, we're going to live here. All right, we're going to live here. And then it kind of stabilized out from there.
All right. So you I'm assuming you don't go to college.
I never went to college. No.
Don't worry. I barely went. All right. Yeah. I mean, technically, I was enrolled. Technically, I took some classes. There's no way I even came close to ever graduating.
The funny thing is I love learning stuff, and I read and I take, I love Udemy. I love buying little courses and stuff online. And I'm pretty sure I would enjoy college as an adult, but at that time, I would have been wasted, man. Totally wasted.
No, I fully get what you're saying. I watch, I got so deep into watching YouTube shit because it's fascinating to learn how algorithms work, how to work on, doing better presentations and what people are looking for, what not to do, different things
Sure.
like that, and then learning to adapt it. So I'm with you there, but and same thing with I got in lifting weights, like understanding how the body works. But I kind of feel like you're like how I am, where it's like I love learning, but I don't want to have to be told, hey, you need to learn this by the end of the week, right? It's like I'm going to learn it because it's something that I want to do. And that, again, I think that's frustrating because
I discovered as an adult that I am what you would call an autodidactical learner. I think I'm saying that correct, autodidact, which means I learn alone better than I do in a group of people. When there's people around, I'm kind of a bit of neurotic, and like I pay attention too much to what other people are doing, and I have a hard time focusing.
you kind
So
of
I
look
think-
like the neurotic guy too.
Do I?
Yeah. Matthew, does he? I'm not.
What? I look like the neurotic guy?
Yeah.
Oh, Gary.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
Just the big beard, the glasses right now.
Well, yeah. So anyway, I learned things on my own a lot better. I think having someone to go to ask questions obviously is invaluable, that already knows what they're doing on any subject. And I think I have a better ability to focus on things that I don't like as an adult, because as a kid, I just did not have that ability at all. Recruiting for Cobra. Yeah, no kidding.
Oh shit. All right. So when you get into you get into the workforce.
Yeah.
All right. So you do retail, correct? You're in retail of some sort?
Very part-time. Believe it or not, most of my income comes from my online endeavors these days, and has for a couple of years.
Maybe I'm not the YouTuber guy that makes all the money.
I didn't say YouTube. I barely make upkiss on YouTube. I'm working on trying to increase that a little bit, because I want to make that more of my thing, because I think that has, YouTube, as you know, because you're doing it, has so much potential if you can get it to do something.
Yes.
But if it doesn't, then you are spending a insane amount of time. And if you don't like doing it, it would be wild, because you're basically working for like 20 cents an hour or something ridiculous like that. Like I could go beg on the corner and make way more money than I do with YouTube.
That is a true statement right there.
Yeah.
But you're right. YouTube as a conduit, you can do so much.
Yeah. But yes, I worked retail for over 20 years.
Okay. So I guess before we jumped a little far up there, just so you know, this is the best guy in the toy community that doesn't collect toys.
Non-toy tuber. Yeah.
Did you get married or anything?
No. I mean, a few girlfriends, live in, but nothing more than that.
Don't worry. I didn't get married either, and I'm thankful every day. I didn't know if you were married or not. That's why.
No, and I will put this, which you probably don't realize, but my mother still lives with me. She lives, I take care of her now. She's much older now. She can't get around too well.
I knew that.
Okay. Well, there's that.
I mean, I put two and two together because you had told me like a few things. Mm-hmm. I know because you said before, like, hey, I was spending time with my mom, before she goes to bed, and
yeah, every night
I don't have that ability, so I can't,
Well, yeah.
So I mean, I don't have that ability to do that. So, as much as it's one of those things where sometimes I think you may see it as a nuisance, I see it as something like it's something I wish I could do.
Sure.
Although I could spend time more with my dad, and I don't, but. But when you don't have that option to do it, then
of course
you envy other people that get to do stuff like that.
Of course.
But yeah, so yeah, I just don't know if you were married or not. So
Nope.
Well, let's talk. You get in the workforce, and I know you're doing some sort of retail. And you said you're part time now.
Well, yeah. Let's. Okay. So, job progression was basically like worked in a mailroom, did that for a little while, got laid off, took a job. Oh man,
Allison's mom barely died not that long ago. Mine's
you
been
guys
dead.
are brutally dark
My-
sometimes,
My
but
mom's been dead for 40, 89. Yeah, so I don't know. 35 years. Something like that. So I don't want to hear a Wawa story.
yeah, there was a crazy period before the retail. I'm going to just change that. Yeah, there was a crazy period before the retail that I was a dispatcher for a while, for about a year and a half, and that was a crazy job.
Okay.
Yeah, Fat Red Foo is a caregiver as well. I know that.
So do you have any stories that you'd like to tell?
Oh, from the dispatcher job.
Well, you told us a few.
That one was wild, dude. That job was
Because
insane.
we were on another show.
I don't even remember what I said, so you kind of have to refresh my memory.
Well, I don't either. That's what I'm trying to. Because I know we were talking about people dying on the job.
Oh, is it the one with the kid? When the driver, I sent the driver home. He went home for lunch, and
I don't know.
well, anyway, I'll just say that one because that's definitely wild. This guy, he goes home for lunch, and he doesn't come back, and we're like, "Where is this guy?" And then we see him in the paper.
Yes, you did. Yeah, I remember you telling. I don't remember the whole story though.
Yeah, he was changing his child's diaper, and he was hopped up on something. Like they found some kind of drugs in his system, and he lost his patience, and he slammed the kid. I mean, it's hard to even say it. He slammed him, and the kid passed, which is like, yeah. So that was a crazy. That we don't have to go down. We don't need to go down the crazy death stream. I remember we did that one time. It was.
What? Death is awesome.
It can be. I mean, it was like a bunch of people in their 40s and 50s. It was like everyone had like 20 people that died that they were ready to talk about.
I was just telling you, I've been at my job for 23 years.
Yeah.
I was laid off on Friday. 9/11 happened on Tuesday. I got the job. This job, I just started looking for something, nothing to do with my field. I start the job Monday. Thursday, guy drops dead in the bathroom. He was an alcoholic, but he had a brain aneurysm.
Yeah.
The whole room smelled like alcohol because my boss at the time, the guy that hired me, he was a paramedic. He was a copier technician. He left to become a paramedic. Realized they don't pay very much. Came back.
I love paramedics though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We need them, right, Tony? Where you at?
They're always great guys. Whenever paramedics show up, they are always way more. You feel way better with them than you do when you get to the hospital. When you get to the hospital, they just throw you in a room and maybe they come see you every couple hours. Paramedics, like whole team, like, all right, we're here for you.
Tony's like a total dick to the people.
Well,
He tells me all the time like this shit. He'll yell at the people that they know that they're on drugs. And he's like, you need to fucking tell us what you're doing so we can give you the right fucking shit.
Yeah, well, that's true. It's easy to have a drug interaction when you don't know what the hell they're on.
Yeah. And he said, like, the firefighters would be like, you tell him, Tony.
Yo, Tony!
All right. So I know you had a whole bunch of different stories.
So, yeah, at that place, all right. These guys, they used to party a lot. And they would get business by partying. So we would have, like, managers from freight companies and stuff, and they had a house that was just for partying. And my other friend, who was my roommate, would sometimes get some strippers, and there would be stuff going on. They had a party bus that was parked in the back of the office. There was a little boat, a Bayliner boat, in the dock, like in the shipping dock. And I used to just sit in that thing and, like, basically smoke it out for the most part. But yeah, dude. But there was just crazy stuff. We would be out on the boat. They had a 42-foot Sea Ray, and we'd be out on the lake, and we had those brick Nextel phones, and the Nextel would start going off. We'd have to stop the boat, and I would be dispatching people, drivers to go do freight runs and stuff. It was short run. It wasn't like big trucks. It was like, box trucks and vans and stuff. And that was just, there's so many things I could say there that I probably shouldn't, but it was wild. I'll just say that. A lot of wild times. Kind of think like the Wolf of Wall Street, but maybe on a slightly lower budget, but not quite.
I hope it's on a lower budget because that was some crazy ass shit in that movie.
Dude, I literally, when I saw that movie, I was like, wow, this seems kind of vaguely familiar actually, but I never did any hard drugs. I'll say that. I mean, well,
so that bridge thing was your fault.
Okay, dude, we're coming back one time from, and I'm sure Matthew might know this, Party Cove. There's a place called Party Cove where all the boats kind of tie up and hang out on a popular lake here. And my boss just falls over. We're just like cruising, and he's like, falls out like out of the captain's chair. We're on a fly bridge of this boat, and he's like, Klein, just take the wheel. Like, I'm like, what? I've used a canoe and a raft, and this is like a $500,000 boat. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, we get to the dock, and his brother is on the dock, and he's like, dude, yeah, Matt, a lot of people die there every year. They're all drunk out there. At least they used to be. He's like, you're going to have to back it in. I'm like, what? He's like, lay it on the dock. Just lay the boat on, just lay it on the freaking dock. And there's bumpers and stuff. But here I am with like, and we're talking in the 90s or something. It's got to be like $500,000 just scraping against the, I didn't know how to do this crap. I'm back, and he's like, all right, yeah, good job. And all right, we're parked. So, yeah.
Oh, way different than your coworkers dumping you off after you had a.
Yeah, no, I upgraded.
Now you're the one smashing into things.
Yeah. But anyway, to a degree, there was too much drinking, too much partying, and I kind of got that out of my system. After that is when I cut everything out except for the drinking. Which I'm 14 years sober, actually. I haven't drank in 14 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It'll be 15 years, I think, in February. And that's been an interesting experience too. Life is very different when you're not, your go-to thing isn't just, getting tore up all the time.
I wouldn't know.
I know.
It's like people are like, don't you ever want? I'm like, how can I want something that I've never had? Like, there's nothing. It goes back to the short thing. Don't you wish you were taller? I don't know what it's like to be taller. You can ask a tall person, don't you wish you were shorter? Because at one time they were shorter than what they are.
How
I
tall
don't
are
know
you?
what it's like to reach the top of a cupboard.
Do you ever say how tall you are, or you don't say it online?
I'm 5'4" on a good day.
5'4". Okay. If I was your height, I would literally build like a 2-story shed in my backyard that was built for my height, so I could watch everyone who's taller than me have to duck under shit when they went in there. But you'd have all that extra storage room. I would do something like that. I'm not even joking. I'm not tall. I'm 5'10".
That's fucking huge.
I'm tiny though. Dude, I weigh 153 pounds.
Well, yes. I'm like 191 right now.
Yeah, if we ever,
well, it's funny. Like Sergeant Red's, they have a basement, and it's really it's a cellar more or less. And he's like, "You never been down here?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "So we go down there." And I'm like, "He's like, you don't need to duck, do you?" I'm like, "No, I don't." You think you do, and then you realize, like after the second or third
Look,
I-beam. You're like, yep, I don't need the fucking.
there are plenty of advantages to being short. All right. There really are. I mean, you don't have to worry about your feet hanging off like freaking beds that much. You could probably lay down on a sofa and stretch out and not feel like you're cramped. And Larry's like, oh, what? That's not normal? He's like laughing, like, this is my life, dude. But yeah, there's,
So
you could get in a kid's go-kart and take off like no problem, probably.
So I worked at a skate shop, right?
Yeah.
And there's only me and one other person and the owner, right? This is when skateboarding was dead. So the skate shoes that were put up there, she always put size 8 up there because no one bought 8s. I wore 8s. So if someone came in and they said, hey, do you have this shoe in an 8? I'd say it's in the wall. And if they're like, no, there's not one up there, I'd be like, then I bought it. Because that's the size shoe that we put up there. So even now, if I go to Modern Skate and I go look at the discounted shoes, 8s are always the ones that are discounted. Because like very few people wear 8s because it's kind of like that. The kid is hitting the 8.
Right.
It's like the first adult shoe. Like,
so how can you wear a kid's shoe?
No.
Damn, that would be awesome. I bet you'd get deals like crazy if you could.
No, I mean, if I could squeeze my foot into a 7, but I mean, it would be a fitted shoe at that point.
I've known some women that are smaller and like they could wear the girls' department clothing and they could just get some amazing, prices on stuff.
My son, who is now taller than me, I think he's 5'6" or so. I don't know. I don't know. He seemed much taller than that at his graduation. He weighs $120 at the most. He still has to get kid young adult or whatever pants because his waist is so thin.
Yeah. For a long time I was like 32, which usually if you go to the clothing store, when they get a fresh bunch in, there's one pair that's that long but that skinny.
So what I have learned I wear 34, right? 34, 30. What I have learned is that they believe that if you're skinny, you're really tall, and if you're short, you're fat.
Yeah, like you can't. Yeah.
Here's a 30 length. Yeah, that's a 42. Hey, look, I found a 32. What's the length? Oh, that's a 38 length. What the fuck?
Anything that we say in a complaining fashion about sizes in men's clothing does not even come close to the horror show that is women's clothing. Is completely like you need a freaking calculus degree to understand what the hell is going on with that.
I have heard numerous times from my ex when obviously we were together, and she's like, "This is a size 12." Okay, these are a size 16. I wear them both. They look the same. Why don't they just go by the waist like every fucking? I don't know. That's why you guys can just order shit online. We can't do that.
I feel like there's like, oh man, it's so sexist what I'm thinking, but it's just like when a guy says 12, he means 12.
Yes.
For women, you say 12, it could be 5, could be 15, could be 12. Maybe. Just depends on how they feel in that moment and if you've been a dick or not. All right, I might get hate for that. I don't
know. No, it's true. Like, I mean, she would talk about like the shirt sizes are kind of, well, I mean, I guess shirts are a little different because one would be like a large, one would be a medium. They would both fit it, right? But the pants are the biggest.
It's like so obviously male. You want to know the inches. How many inches is it? That's it. All I want to know is a specific measurement. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, like, I mean, I was told it's a good size until we break up. Then it's like, I've had bigger. I'm like,
oh God, dude.
What do you want me to tell you, man? Like, I
mean, the flag is at least 7 feet long, right? I mean, that's crazy.
7.5.
7.5.
I had a girl that I was dating one day. Not one day. When I ended it. And she had the text just ready to go, and she just rattled off things. and she said, and her things were, "You're not that big either. I've had bigger." I'm like, I fucking see myself every day. I fucking know how big I am. All right, like honestly, yeah. I'm 5'4", but I mean, how fucking big do you want me to be? Like, I'm sorry. All right,
What you call a low blow, man.
it's it works. All right, I've made a couple kids, bro. I know it works. You weren't complaining at the time, but now you're mad. And she's like, I mean, she rattled. She had the thing fucking ready to go because it was this fucking long, and it just set right away.
That's what she said.
Went, you didn't have time to fucking type that out. You had that ready to go. You had that in your fucking notes, and you sent it, and then you sent something right after that, and then about an hour later, she sent me a text saying she apologized and she was just really mad. And I'm like, man, you already said it. Like you don't say shit. Tony and I talked about this all the time. You don't say shit unless part of you actually believes it.
Sure, but with our brains, it could be tail wagging the dog, right? I mean, you could have just a little part of you believing it takes over for a little bit, and then the rest of the time you're like, all right, just keep that to yourself, you bastard.
She was expecting a tripod. I don't know.
Ted, super late due to my day job. Ted, you told him to take the job and shove it, and now you're saying that I can't because of my job that I quit. You're like hanging out on the couch eating chips and stuff.
Maybe he was making me another Mossman video.
That could be it.
Maybe he was now trying to figure out ways that he's going to pay himself and Ed, because they hired Ed, and now they're like, shit, I quit my job. I still have to pay Ed, but since I pay Ed $0, I guess it's okay.
This guy just said I have 3.25 more days.
Yeah, you so don't give two shits.
Short timing, some would say.
You've never met them, have you?
Who? I've never met anyone in person, dude.
Really? You never met anyone?
No one. Just my mom.
Matthew was close to you. You should go hang out with Matthew.
I think that will probably happen eventually.
Because you're by Dallas, right?
Yep, North Dallas.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people out there in Dallas.
There is. I'm actually debating on maybe popping into the DFW Joe show with my buddy.
That'd be cool. Considering Matthew won't have anyone there because we're all going to be at Joe Fest. He's going to be hanging out with a bunch of people that don't give two shits about him. Well, I live by, like Dreadnought Ryan. Like he lives maybe an hour away from me. And I've never, we've never hung out. I was in his area one day and he's like, hey, we just laid off a bunch of people and I'm doing some work, or else I'd meet you because it was at lunchtime. It's definitely harder as you get older.
Sure.
And I don't really go to I don't go to toy conventions and toy shows because I'm not looking for anything. So unless it's just like I want to, something to do.
I got a buddy that has a toy collection, and he's the reason why I started building toy dioramas, because we didn't get to that part yet. But
yeah, we're going to for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, sometimes I'll go around with him to different things like that. It was the War Games terrain, actually, because during the Warhammer phase, I started building terrain and stuff like that for the gaming boards. And he saw it in my garage and was like, dude, do you think you could build something for my action figures? And this was like maybe 2013, 2014. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So much hate at that show. Why are you going to get hate?
Because he's friends with me.
Oh.
That's my guess.
That's a really valid point, to be quite honest.
Because it's my guess.
Really valid point. You might need to hire like a security guard or something.
Patrick, the toys come to Lawrence. He's the Chuck Norris of Toy 2. Oh, shit. Oh, man. I'm so scared someone's gonna start memes like that now.
Chuck Norris.
All right, so
Yeah, we're gonna do a Chuck Norris meme for you for sure.
all right, so you're doing so. Okay, so let's get into like your whole diorama stuff and your YouTube channel, but also what else you do because you said you work part time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're obviously using YouTube as your conduit, correct?
Partly.
Partly.
Well, all right. Let's get into. How about? Can we do a bathroom break real quick?
You can.
All right, because I'm drinking too much water and seltzer here because I'm bored.
While we're waiting, I will play something from our sponsors.
Some action figures.
Oh, hey guys. So Lawrence, he had to step away for a little bit. He's got a case of the grumble dust. So he asked me to kind of watch over a stream. He put me in charge of y'all. He said to me, "Oh, Moss Man, I have a case of the grumble dust, and I need you to watch myself for a little bit so nobody leaves and finds out that there's more interesting things to watch on YouTube. And also, I hate Ohio." So I was like, oh, dang, so now I have to come up with a topic for my very own show. And I was like, oh, what about talking about your favorite toy stores? So my favorite toy store is HelloDopeToys.com. So they used to have this really bad website. It used to look real scammy. Like if I gave them money, they were going to go spend it on like blow and hookers. But now their website is really nice. And like I can just go in and do like 1-2 click. And then my order's placed. And they ship super fast, guys. They ship everything in 1 business day. So like I get all my toys first. So when I'm out there on the playground and all my friends are like, oh, dang, Moss Man, where'd you get that action figure? I still have to wait 17 months for mine. And I'm just like, well, I went to HelloDopeToys.com and I just pushed the buttons and then they shipped it out to me. And the packaging is so nice, guys. Like, I opened up the box and I thought, oh, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this kind of packaging. It's so nice. But then my trash can gets full because of all the packing stuff. And I was just like, oh, dang, I just changed the trash. But now I gotta change the trash again. Oh, you're right, Matthew Matson. You can use the code APWT at HelloDopeToys.com and save 10% on your order. So how that works is, so you're gonna save 10%, and then a Punk with Toys, he has to pay that 10% that y'all save. So if you don't like Lawrence, you can just go to HelloDopeToys.com and just buy a bunch of stuff and rack up his bill. So then like at the end of the month, they're like, Hello Dope Toys is like, oh, Lawrence, you owe us $1 million because of all the 10% codes that everybody used. And yeah, that's how that works. Okay, guys, so it looks like it's time for me to go now. So make sure you go to HelloDopeToys.com and like and subscribe. And then in the comments, put what your favorite toy store is. But if it's not HelloDopeToys.com, I'm probably just going to delete it, okay? So, all right, guys, bye!
See, with the first commercial, every time I hear my 5 subscribers, I laugh. But when I hear tell us what your favorite toy store is. But if it's not Hello Toys, we're probably just gonna throw it in the trash. We're just gonna delete it. I laugh every time I hear that.
They're definitely good, man. Both of those are good.
No, they do such a good job. How anyone can like hate on the Moss Man, I don't get. Like right here, Tony saying that he hates Moss Man.
Oh no.
I gotta get that sound clip. Oh no.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
And I find myself, all the time. It's actually, I guess I can steal this from Jim Rome. So Jim Rome, if you ever watch sports radio, he talks about the jungle Tourette's, and it's basically like they play sound, like they play sound clips from, from his show, and I find myself doing it all the time. Like I'll hear something and I will repeat the sound clip that would have been played. Well, now I find basically having, the toy Tourette's here. So I hear someone say, "Oh no," and the first thing that I do is I go, "Oh no."
I even think about Aaron's impression of Ted doing that sometimes too, because he does like the even more flaming version. It sounds like in Ted.
And I can't. I could not imagine hearing Moss Man, in any other form.
Right, you're gonna go watch the show one day,
Right.
and it's gonna be like, "Oh yes, I'm Moss." You're gonna be like, "What the hell is this garbage?"
Fuck is doing this? This ain't fucking Moss Man. That's what Ted should do. He should find whatever episode has Moss Man on it, and just
like cut himself back and forth to it.
there's got to be an episode that's like really heavy in Moss Man, and go and do that, and just fucking play it at the beginning of one of their episodes.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and this kind of goes on to the YouTube learning that you were talking about earlier. All that stuff, you remember the sound effects and the clips that different streamers use. It gets stuck in your head, the repetition of it, and it really becomes like like the catchphrase thing. It's definitely leaves a memory mark on you.
Oh yeah. When you watch different shows, like you hear different things, and again, I'm finding it out. I mean, obviously, I'm reading the chat as much as I can, and people say, "Okay, I use chapstick a lot."
I never use.
People noticed. All right, people noticed how much I use chapstick. I didn't realize I said "listen" as much as I did until someone.
You do.
The one thing that I had noticed when I started doing streams was that I make a whistling noise when I. It's not even certain letters or certain words. There's just this whistling, and everyone has said they haven't noticed it, but I'll hear it because it just whistles out. It's crazy because I have a screen going here, so I can see if I'm freezing up, and you really realize how much my hands fucking move. And then there's
keeps it interesting.
And this one came from it's Chad, but Travis fucking Moody. People are like, oh, you need to get that sound bite. I mean, I don't need that sound bite. I can just fucking say it. Travis fucking Moody.
Yes, Fat Red, you're correct. Atrid, as Ted and the boys.
Oh no.
So there was a point also, and I'm kind of glossed over this, that I did not very well, mind you, but I did play guitar for a little bit, and we had a little garage band. And this was in between the Dungeons and Dragons phase and before the Diorama phase. But
that's how you picked up chicks.
I mean, sometimes. But had a lot of fun. With that. I used to go to concerts, and we had like the little band. We would hang out a lot, but there was issues. One guy got arrested. One guy started doing meth. Normal band shenanigans, I guess, that happens with stuff like that. But we drank too much. I drank too much anyway to freaking get good. I mean, I was good at being drunk. I actually got to the point where I was playing slide guitar with the beer bottle in one hand, so I could kind of, I would modify things we were playing so I could play it while still having a beer bottle in my hand. So,
Well, that's kind of when you have an issue.
Yeah, that was one of the signs.
Well, it sounds like I'm not gonna say took care of it, because most people that actually admit they're alcoholics will say, "I'm always an alcoholic."
I think what happens, and Matthew said it earlier. He said that he doesn't see anything. There's really nothing good in that stuff. I think a lot of people start doing it as a coping mechanism when they're younger. And some people, they can just have a couple of drinks and they're totally responsible and everything's fine. Yeah. But then there's a lot of people that you use it for a reason. Once you start having reasons for doing stuff, it can sometimes get out of hand. And some people will rein it in, or other people like myself never have any kind of limiting principle at all. Like, I didn't understand the concept of maybe I should only drink X amount. It was like, it's at 7:00 in the morning on Sunday. And then by 2 a.m. on Monday, when I had to go to work the next day, and I'm like 36 beers in and just like, just garbage.
Drunk Gandalf.
Drunk Gandalf, yeah. But I didn't have the beard then. Although I did get called Shaggy sometimes. I sometimes had the little chin goat thing going on.
So now I'm wondering what you look like without all the facial hair.
Oh, dude, do I have a picture? I don't know if I should have brought it. Oh man, I have like a kid picture. I could have brought some props on.
Just put them on your Instagram.
I got a picture right here in my closet of me getting a Game Gear when I was like 10 years old.
Game Gear. I had Game Boy.
I had Game Boy too, the black and white. That thing, you played it for like an hour and a half and the batteries were dead.
We had the plug-in, so we could plug it in.
I never had that.
Yeah, they made an adaptation so you could plug it in. And you know what's crazy about the Game Boy was I was super good at Tetris. But if I tried playing it on the Nintendo in color, it fucked me up.
Wow.
And one of my good friends, Tony, the guy I still skate with, he was super good at it. But if he got on the Game Boy, he couldn't do it. And I always equated it to just I was not used to looking at the colors. I looked at black and white. That's how I got to see it. So I was never distracted by the colors.
Right. Yeah.
Tony, who was Tony's one of the smartest people you could ever meet. And anytime I see someone trying to debate him on Facebook, I'm like, you better know what the fuck you're talking about, or he's about to embarrass you. And that's because you went up and decided that you were going to challenge him and didn't realize that he's as smart as he is. But I remember talking about Tetris. I'm like, how do you do it? He's like, you have to be looking at the piece. Like when you get into the 200s, you have to be looking at the piece and already moving the joystick or the pad where you want it to go before it even comes down.
Yeah, and I totally can understand why it would mess with you, because if you just add one more thing to think about, it like messes up the processing speed of your brain. Sometimes you can't.
Yeah, I started on the Game Boy, so it wasn't like I never had it. Because did it come with? I think it came with Tetris, so that's how I started.
I had it. I know that. I had Tetris, I had Zelda, and I had Mario.
I know I had a Mario. I know I had it was a fighting game.
A fighting game?
Was it Bad Dudes?
Or Double Dragon, maybe?
Double Dragon.
Okay.
I had Double Dragon.
I had Double Dragon on the Commodore 64, dude.
Man, see, we didn't have any computers like that or anything. We didn't have, my dad didn't get a computer till I was in my 20s.
My dad was an electronics technician at the post office. Okay. He fixed all the big sorting machines and stuff there, so he was big into that. Roman making his appearance, huh?
Yeah, he decided to wake up. He just laid down on the floor. I never had the Kirby game.
I don't think I had it either.
Now I'm thinking what I have.
I had Adventures of Lolo. Do you remember that? The blue puffball dude that would move blocks around, and it was like a puzzle game on NES. I think it was Adventures.
The name sounds familiar, but I don't remember it. I know I had a bunch of Game Boy games. It was Double Dragon. I know I had a Mario game. Tetris.
The funniest thing about Double Dragon I remember on Commodore 64 is it said on the back of the box, it said the graphics were so high resolution that it's not a glitch that they don't have a torso. It's because it couldn't handle the graphics of the torso moving. So it was just an empty space, and it was the top floating separate from the bottom. And they had to write that out so people wouldn't be like, dude, this thing is jacked up.
Isn't that boy, have graphics come a long ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have a hard drive on that either. So you would have to take the floppy disk, the 5-inch floppy disk, load it in, and it was 2 discs. And I would put one in, go eat dinner, come back, load another one, go upstairs, hang out for a little bit, come back 20 minutes later, play the game. Yeah. Good stuff.
All right. So let's get into what you do now.
Okay.
So you have a YouTube channel. So both your Instagram and your YouTube channel are in the description, and I'll go back if I remember, and I'll put your other because I know you have an Etsy.
I do, and a TikTok.
And I don't want to know about your cock. What is it?
TikTok, bro. TikTok.
I thought you said you're two cock. I was like, what the fuck is a two cock? I was like,
That's what they call me on the streets, yo.
all right. So you do a stream every Friday night.
Yep, the random craft and chill stream, mainly because I'm too indecisive to decide on what the hell to do. But it's actually been really cool because it forces me to be creative sometimes because I just got to sit down. I got to do something. I'll have projects going sometimes. But, if I'm working on a video for YouTube or doing shorts, which I've done a lot of shorts on Instagram, which is really what I probably grew first on.
Okay.
I can't do that stuff on the live stream because then I won't be able to record the content to make the content. So I kind of have to do separate projects. And I don't know, it's been really good. That's been going over a year now. I don't know how many episodes there are, but
okay.
Yeah, every Friday for about a year and maybe, I don't know, 3 months or something like that.
Is your Etsy page in your description?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just looking for it right now.
It's in the link tree.
There it is. Because I really like the stuff you're doing.
Thank you.
Especially the thing that you had sent me. And I never did pictures. You had it in the background, but I've
seen it on several of your things, though, man. You have it on your end screen on your YouTube, I want to say. It's on one of the screens, either starting or finishing. I've seen it. It's been around, man. It's cool.
Oh, it's been behind. I finally took it downstairs and put it. I was trying to finish doing something. Do you need to go outside, buddy? Hold on.
Yeah. So true story. That scream button, I put that scream button there, especially for Fat Red when he starts asking me specific questions about something completely different than what I'm working on my stream on Friday. So when he starts like coming up with telling me all these things I need to do, and I'm trying to do something right here, I just have that button that I could hit and just deadpan it. So
I love it.
Thank you, Fat Red.
All right, so this is your Etsy store.
Yes. I need to put some more stuff on there, man. I have so many things laying around, and there's 2 items on that store. But both of those items that are on there are the science fiction style consoles, and then I have the desk that I just decided one day would be kind of funny to have a desk with a work console on there. I pictured some dude like having to take his lunch break, but still was being forced by the man to keep an eye on things as they were working. So he had this desk.
And this is low in stock, guys. It says it right here.
That's what it says.
I don't know about this one. It looks like you have a whole bunch.
I think there's 4 of them left. Yeah.
Does it take inventory pretty well?
What do you mean?
The inventory. Does it track it pretty well?
Etsy's wonderful for that stuff.
Okay.
Yep.
Now I love this design. I love this.
And it makes sense that you would because of the nature of your job, and you know that machines often have serial numbers and are marked individually. So it's.
But it adds so much because you have the RD, which is obviously random diorama, but it really does add just.
It's like storytelling.
Yeah, it just there's just that little bit of look to it where it's like, okay, this would actually be something that when it's being brought in. And when forensics need to look up something, here's a serial number, but it makes it look, and I don't want to say your stuff isn't legit, but it makes it look like it's an authentic thing that just rolled off an assembly line or something.
Right.
But
I need to do more of that actually. But like I said, that was the first time that I did a batch run of things, because normally I just build one-off items or commissions when someone commissions me. I haven't been doing a whole lot of that lately. But oh yeah, there was that guy. He took pictures. There's several of the people that bought him who were taking some cool pictures with him.
Well, I have pretty much all of this stuff. I have something very similar to the rack up here.
Yeah, and that was really cool. Is when people were buying them and sending me the pictures. That's really neat. Seeing the creativity people have with them.
And now, how do you make all this stuff?
By hand, and also, well, some of the little bits like the buttons and stuff are laser cut, but I used to do it with clay before I got the laser cutter.
So what are you using when you are cutting this stuff and sculpting this?
A hot wire foam cutter.
Okay.
It's mostly pink foam, and then just the little buttons and maybe like the frames, the keyboards and stuff is laser cut wood. And
then we watched you do a Moss Man Mobile while on Hello Dope Toy Stream.
Yeah, they were in midstream, and while they were talking about it, I just kind of thought the idea they were saying was pretty cool and looked around and was like, I think I can make that right now. And so I just grabbed a hot glue gun, glued some stuff together, shaved it down, sanded it, and did the basic outline of it. Obviously, the detailing and the painting and everything takes more time, but
you put it together so quickly. Like, it was so quickly that you put that together.
That one came together really quick.
And it was sent over really fast.
Yeah, they were like, did he have this just laying around somewhere? And I'm like, oh no, dude. No.
So on your show, you are going through that, you're doing all of that, right? Now, you don't gatekeep anything, right? You explain to everyone.
When people ask a question, I usually give them a straight answer on everything. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I will say that there have been times where I came up with something newish that I didn't go out of my way to share, but hasn't been my thing for years, because most of what I do is just doing how-to videos or seeing in process. Like I said, I do a lot of shorts. I did tons and tons of Instagram reels when reels were really hot, which is why I have so many Instagram. My Instagrams blew up quite a bit.
Okay.
It's a little died down now, but yeah, people are fascinated by watching things, and all you have to do is give them a couple of pieces of information in a short, and that's enough. You can show them a process, but as long as they get like maybe one or two things from it, they're like, oh, okay, maybe he does it this way and I do it another way, or I didn't know any idea how to do that, and make it approachable. I think that allowed the Instagram channel to kind of get bigger than it would have if I was more detailed and highbrow. It tried to be very approachable. You know what I mean?
Ted says the Moss Mobile is one of my most prized possessions.
Well, thank you, Ted.
Except when he loses Moss Man, then he can't put him in it.
Well, yeah.
What about Ken? What about Ken? Isn't he one of your most prized possessions too? So, you don't collect any specific line.
I don't.
When you're doing these dioramas on Friday nights, what are you doing with them?
Yeah, there's a pile of them right over there.
You're not selling them. Like, it's just.
So I used to sell them, right? And I used to do Okay, so I started doing this 2015, 2016, and I was selling them on eBay. I build them, I'd sell them on eBay. But then I kind of stopped with the dioramas. I was working on another side thing. I was just reselling all kinds of random items on Amazon, eBay. So when I got back into it, I kind of realized I liked making the content more than I liked dealing with making commissions for people. Now, some people are great and it goes really smooth. Most people are. However, there are certain individuals that trying to work with the commission, it's difficult, and they have expectations that sometimes are difficult to meet. and you're not making very much. Anyway, my general point here is I think long-term strategy, it makes more sense to try and make content than it does to try and make money selling the actual items. But I'm gonna start selling some more stuff.
Yeah.
But I would rather make things and then put them up for sale than people commission me to build what they want, which is being maybe a little selfish on my part, but you know.
No, I mean, so let me ask you this: do you have anyone? Have you had people that have asked you to commission something? You go and do it, and then they don't have the money to pay, or they'll pay you. I don't get paid till Friday, or they just ghost you.
I require half upfront in order to start a commission, and then usually once you have that commitment, I've never really had a major problem with someone not paying. So no.
And that's what, like my buddy Greg, who does all the 3D printing, that's his problem he was having. People would ask for something, he'd go and do it, and then it would be like, I don't have the money this weekend, I'll have it next week. And then he'd hit him up, and they just completely ghost him. And I kept saying,
it sucks, but you can't do the work before you get a little. I mean, unless you really know the person. If you already have a relationship with a person, it's a different story.
And that's what I told him. I'm like, Greg, I'm like, you first off, you do good work. You got to tell them, and you're already not charging them what you should.
And that's the other thing is a lot of people are used to paying the price of having something made in a Chinese manufacturing plant. And look, like if you're an adult in the United States, and I'm not saying, if it's just your hobby, that's fine. And I mean, it is my hobby to a large extent, but you cannot get by in life making $2 an hour building dioramas. So if you're charging like $50 or $100 for something that took you 40 hours to build over, weeks of time, it's just you're not going to feel good about it. So you got to find kind of a happy medium there.
And the project director said, bro, if you have it and they want it, cool, but you're under no obligation to create something new for them. No, and you're absolutely correct. But I also understand where you're like, hey, if someone wants something and they're going to ask, but
I've done commissions for people. Yeah.
Like they look at these 3D printers, and I've also seen people, and I had to say, hey, check out his stuff. Don't come back and say that it's too expensive. Right. He's doing this by hand. He doesn't do this because, and this is what I say about the 3D printers. They do want to make some money off it. There is that, hey, I'm doing this. I should be making some profit off of it. And you don't know everything that goes into it.
That's
anything that's handcrafted.
Piece of it, dude. People just don't understand the amount of time you're talking about when you're talking about making something. Like it can be like a small project can easily be 10 hours.
Yeah.
And I understand that a lot of people that are a toy collector, it's their hobby, it's their passion. So they're just like, I'm just doing it for fun. And you can do stuff like that for fun, and that's fine. But if you are trying to do it dozens and dozens and dozens of times, or maybe hundreds of times and then get an amount that makes you feel like, what am I doing here? I could go work at McDonald's and make more money.
Yep.
It's gonna wear thin. So you have to find the happy medium in your own balance where you feel comfortable with.
And that's why, when you have people that are like, well, that's just too expensive, I can make that myself. Okay, then fucking do it yourself.
Yeah. Well,
then do it yourself. Or why don't you sit down and make these and then sell them at what you think that your time is worth? Because maybe your time is worth less than someone else's. I know we're kind of going off on a tangent, but
yeah, no, it's cool.
It's one of those things that drives me nuts because it's like
the 3D printing is the same way because there's lots of errors and mistakes. And if you buy something from someone now there's plenty of 3D printers I've seen that sell like garbage, to be quite honest.
There's that too.
There's a lot of that, but there's some of them that are like crazy detailed. Like there's this one guy that does guns or pew-pews, whatever, on Instagram. It's not Gridiron, but it's the similar quality. But he does Milliworks.
Okay. I thought you meant maybe.
No, but those are cool too.
Yeah.
They're
And then
amazing. They're sanding all the pieces. The pieces go together. They had to sit there and 3D model all that stuff, which is, R&D time, and then going through all those processes and stuff. And it seems like a crazy amount if someone says it's $20 for a little miniature gun because you're used to buying toys that the whole toy is $20 and comes with 10 guns, but it's not the same thing. It's just not the same thing.
I'm with you 100%. And again, I was one of the people that talked about Gridiron, that I thought that like their prices were too expensive, but I also didn't know their operating costs. And as I talked to Tony more, when I had Mark on and I just talked to him, you get this different feel. Like everything is hand painted. They're constantly evolving their 3D printing that they're doing. People don't, especially when you 3D print, and I did stuff for myself, you don't know how many times something fails. That's time,
for sure.
That's electricity, and that's product that's being thrown down the drain. And everyone's like, "Well, I could print that myself." Well, then fucking print it yourself. Stop telling me you can do something yourself because you don't like the price. Then just do it yourself. Isn't that?
3D printing, though, it's a whole other bag of worms. Like, you got to learn all the different parts of it. And it's not like hard to learn or anything. It's just time consuming. And we have so many options with things we can do these days. It's just not enough time to possibly.
And that's exactly it. Because we're adults. We have other things going on in my life.
Got to eat.
I've had people that, that when they want to grow their channel, and I give them suggestions because they've asked, and they say, well, I have to work. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I'm not working. I didn't realize that I'm not raising my kids. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I'm not doing other things too. But it's something that I want. Don't ask me. And then when I give you, not like I'm giving you like my secret. Like, hey, here's what
these days
I'll tell you.
These days, with the way social media is, I think anyone could grow something if they just cordoned off a set amount of time. I don't even care what the amount of time is, even if it's like 45 minutes on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And if they were consistent with it, YouTube long form videos would probably not be the way to go for that person, because the shooting and the editing, and it's really the editing and getting it all kind of together that takes forever. But with shorts the way they are, with reels, plenty of things you can do, plenty of opportunities. And reels, like, you can make a really good reel in about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Quite honest. I mean, it's 15 minutes for a 30-second reel. So there's still like a crazy amount of.
Once you get your formula of how you want to do things, I'll say this. If I was to lose my job, I'm knocking on wood, but I can't knock too loud because then Roman will think someone's at the door and start barking. If I lost my job, I would probably focus on YouTube, and not this. You look at these movie channels, and they make good money, or they get a lot of views. Now, you and I both understand, like, there's different. You're getting paid different depending on what you're doing.
Sure.
But I have an idea of like how I could make a movie channel work. Not how Matthew and I have tried, where I would actually have to put in, where I feel like I could create different channels that would be successful to the point where I could support myself. But I'm not willing to take that chance and fail because I have a decent job. I have kids to support, a roof I need to keep over my head, But if I was like laid off again, like let's say COVID happened again. I worked through COVID, but that's a whole other story. But let's say I got laid off. I would focus so much on YouTube and doing different things because now I would have time. And I've learned so much by watching other YouTubers discuss this and how to make things like that. And again, not saying I know everything, but all it takes is a little bit of time to look into things. And that, like you kind of said.
Yeah, time to look into things. But also, I think a lot of it is just trying stuff. You just got to keep trying stuff. And I don't do enough of that, honestly, with my YouTube channel. But I've been talking about it for years. I intend to do more long form videos, and I just end up doing one every 2 months. But the stream, I do the stream every single Friday. But yeah.
So what else are you doing? Because you discussed other things.
Online?
Yeah.
I make product videos on Amazon, and that's probably the bulk of the income because,
So that is very. Can I ask you what that is?
What do you mean?
You do product videos on.
So Amazon has multiple programs. They have the Associates program, which you are probably an Amazon associate.
Yep.
And then they have the Amazon Influencer program, which you probably are not on.
Nope.
And that one allows you to make videos and then have them placed on Amazon's product page. And then when someone watches one of those for 30 seconds, you get a commission off that product. But you're using Amazon's traffic, not your traffic like you do with the associate program. So the income potential is much greater. However, it's been kind of dying off. It was really booming about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Why are you grinning like that?
Because I just came across a video out of nowhere. I drive all day, so I'll scroll through YouTube and I'll hit something and just listen to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not watching skate videos. That would be stupid while driving, but I can watch shit. And something came up about that.
Okay.
And I didn't fully understand it. I didn't fully understand what they were talking about because I had an idea that I'm probably going to do, but it's different, a little bit different because I didn't fully understand. And these guys were talking about how much money they made doing what you're doing, but they were saying what they do is they go to Airbnbs.
I've heard of that. Okay, this is a new thing that they just started talking about, and I'm in some Facebook groups that are specifically just for Amazon influencers. But yeah, that's something that some people have been doing recently. But honestly, if you did it, and you should apply for it because you have enough of an active following that you would get approved. You just go around your house and do a video for every single item you have.
And that's where they said to start. Now, again, I wouldn't do what they were talking about, but I found it fascinating. And just so I'm not like, people are like, what are you talking about? So what they were saying is they check into these Airbnbs.
Mm-hmm.
They let the people know what they're going to do. We're going to go through and we're going to review every single product in this Airbnb that's sold on Amazon. And, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. They just don't want people to be like, hey, wait a minute. That's our fucking Airbnb. What are these people?
Right. Yeah. Lots of those videos, they're not actual review videos, right? And a lot of them are unboxings or just quick item descriptions because you're not necessarily looking for like a YouTube opinionated video. It's just a short 1.5 to 3 minute clip next to the thing. You want to click it and you want to see someone's first impressions. They're going to say, yeah, this is metal. This is plastic. Feels like it's pretty solid. Couple of quick rundowns on some stuff. But I started doing that. Yeah, that does work for some people, I've heard. I started doing that with all my diorama tools at first, and I actually for a while was like selling the crap out of those Proxon hot wire tables. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of them. Now the commission isn't very great, but it was when it was really blowing and going. It was pretty freaking sweet.
No, and again, Lone Dragon. Yeah, you say no interest in influence. I'm not.
I don't like the name influencers either, to be quite honest. I mean, what is?
But what you were saying is you're not reviewing it. You're showing it off. Like you're right.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit of everything. Everyone has their own take on it, But I think you should understand that when you're doing a product on Amazon, most of those people are. If you do, because people, once you start doing that, here's another thing. I get so many emails from companies trying to send me stuff. It is crazy.
That's what they were saying. The one guy was saying, I have so much stuff in my form that
you have to disclose that when you make the video. You have to say this item was sent to me by the manufacturer or something like that, But I turn a lot of that down now because it's just, doing stuff for just free products that you don't. I mean, how many bath sponges do you need, dude? Like, but it depends. Some companies will pay you, some companies won't. I've had some really awesome things that are like nice that I would have never in a million years bought. Like, I don't know, I feel like I'm bragging, but I don't know, a solar power generator.
Oh, that's awesome.
Freaking awesome, dude. The power.
I mean, you're explaining something you got. That's not bragging.
Yeah. I mean, way out of the price range for something I would buy, and for that, and it was like freaking great. The power went out. I was like, we were boiling water, had the TV going, and my neighbor's like, "What? Your power's not out?" I'm like, "Oh no, it's out."
I love that.
Sweet
influencer program.
I guess so.
I'm gonna talk to you when we're done about that, because that thing interests me.
Well, it should be right up your alley, yeah.
Because I didn't fully, like I said, I wasn't gonna buy into their program, because that's what they were. I mean, they were giving you enough information that if you looked into it, see, that's not what I thought. I knew there must be something else, and I was like, so you can just, I could just start reviewing everything around my house.
Yes.
My earbuds, they're sold on Amazon, right?
Hey, guess what? I don't see anyone doing it. You could review all the G.I. Joes you have on Amazon. I don't see anyone doing it.
What do you mean? They're already there. So you review the Joe,
okay. Oh God, we're changing this from this is the random diorama to the
no.
We're education stream. Okay.
No, we're gonna talk about this later.
Okay. Good night, Tony.
Yeah. Good night, Tony. Tony's like, fuck you all.
Like, I don't want to hear this crap. I wanted to hear some drunken flying through the windshield stories. There's more of those, but we skipped past that part of my life already.
So, yeah, like I said, I did not realize that you were doing that. So, because you said other things, I thought you were selling more, like with your Etsy and different things like that. But
I like physical products, but to be quite honest, after doing quite a bit of eBay and Amazon, I was looking for every way to do things without me having to pack and ship stuff and be like Ted all of my life. But it is good for some quick stuff. But okay, so where were we? We were in. I started making dioramas. I had a major health crisis about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. And I didn't do any dioramas. I wasn't doing anything. I stopped it around 2017. But I landed in the hospital, got very weak, and I was basically couldn't work for 6 months. And while I was recovering from that, one of the guys in the hospital, I had 2 hospital stays. One of the guys in the hospital was doing a Doppler scan on me, where they look for blood clots in your legs.
Okay.
And we started talking about Dungeons and Dragons. And as I'm laying there in the hospital bed, and I don't know if you've ever been in a hospital, but it's insanely boring and depressing. And I was just thinking about, oh man, it'd be really cool to build some terrain for Dungeons and Dragons. And I started thinking about it. And when I got home, and it was about a month before I was able to get out of bed for any amount of time, I started building dungeon terrain and really was like, you know what? I'm home. I'm going to really work on it. It was during COVID. And I started with my Instagram page at like 5,000 followers that was kind of gone inactive from maybe, 4 or 5 years prior. And by the end of like 2 years, it was somewhere around like 80,000 or something. Cause I was just blowing and going, really got into the dioramas again, started selling them, started doing commissions. And it's just kind of all like it was part of my healing process and something to get me out of bed and moving around, but it just felt like a real natural fit. And also I gave up playing video games.
Okay. I've never looked at
what?
I've never looked at your Instagram followers.
Oh, really?
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty decent.
I mean, when you said blowing up and then you're like, I was like around 20,000. I'm like, whoa. Wow. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Most of the growth happened about a year and a half ago. So it's slowed down. I've been hovering, but it's cool. But that right there, if you go to talk to a company, follower counts don't mean much, really. Your views mean much more. But if you talk to a company and they can tell that it's legit, you get a lot more leeway.
Because you can buy subscribers, you can buy followers,
Right.
But you're absolutely correct. 'Cause that's why and I've never talked to a company like for YouTube, but when I've watched stuff when they talked about it, they'll want to see your statistics, they want to see your data because they want to make sure that you didn't buy these subscribers and people aren't really coming there.
Yeah,
they'll look at your stuff and you may have 5,000 subscribers.
Well, they'll look at your views on your reels too, and that's an easy show that it's legit.
So when they look at that, and he's like, that's when they'll be like, wow, I had no idea that.
Yeah, IG was my main social media presence for a while, and then I started doing some YouTube. I had some YouTube videos from like 8 years ago, but there was just one video that did well, had like 60,000 in views, but everything else was like Zippo. But yeah.
Are you monetized on Instagram?
Man, I was, but the bastards took the program away. I used to love that.
Okay, see, I know there's some sort of way, but I was like, how the fuck do you?
Yeah, there was a few months where the check was decent, decent. Like what you said you made on YouTube, more than that. But then it quickly went down.
$100,000 a day?
Easily that. I was just swimming in it. No, but what it allowed me to do was Instagram allowed me to I got money from Instagram that was just enough for me to get this laptop because my computer was a potato. So I can edit a camera that was decent that I can do the Amazon videos with. And that's the whole thing is you can just do a little something, you get new gear and you just kind of it all goes back into it to snowball it along.
Yep.
And plus with the dioramas, what's so cool is I have, toys and tools. I have a laser cutter, I have the 3D printer, and I can just build cooler things, and it's fun, but it's also the first time in my life where it's like responsible for me to buy some ridiculous items because it helps make
your channel,
the content cooler. Yeah. I got $50 from IG once, Matthew Madison. Yeah.
Didn't you win something for, I think, a picture or something?
Hey man, $50 is $50.
Hey, I won a pair of shoes from a skateboarder. I was like so fucking excited. I was like, he picked two names. I didn't even remember putting my name in it, and I was like, how do I get these? He's like, I'll have them send it out to you.
I can't believe we've been going 3 hours and 20 minutes already.
I know. Probably should wrap it up because you have to work in the morning about the same time I do.
Yeah.
Just because we're an hour apart.
I mean, I stay up pretty late, but I feel like we're murdering your audience at this point.
Don't worry. I do that every Monday night.
Okay.
Legend Series says, my other channel hit it like that during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Pandemic, couldn't believe it.
Exactly, Legend. You had a captive audience again.
See, I'm trying to think. I don't think I was really.
I wish I was making more YouTube videos then, but
I wish I would have. I mean, I was making videos, but I hadn't really got into what I was doing now. Because I know a lot of people have. I know a lot of people have. They got into it when YouTube started. And then when the pandemic started, and a lot of people I know are jealous because they're like, I worked for 10 years before this, and it's like, who the fuck cares? Like, they just hit it at the right fucking time.
Yeah.
Right now there's some people that are beefing with people, and they're getting like 700 to 1,000 subscribers in a fucking month. All right, well, good for you. I mean, awesome. You did something, and it's shooting up.
Drama will definitely do that.
Yeah. So, some people just hit something at the right time, and, do they continue it? That's what matters. But, people that are pissed that, oh, well, you came in the pandemic when everyone was sitting around watching and they're ordering everything online. I was doing it 10 years before you. Like, who the fuck cares? Like,
yeah, man, I was making videos 8 years ago, Larry. What were you doing?
Exactly.
I made 5 videos 8 years ago. They're still on my channel.
Well, what was my most liked video was my GI Joe room, which was at my old house? No, it wasn't at the old place. Because the old place was a long time ago, but it was this place just down the street.
Dude, YouTube is so freaking weird. Like, you never know what's going to happen. So, like, those 5 videos I made, I was watching them like, yeah, I'm going to do the YouTube thing in like 2000, I don't know, 15 or something. I'm like, all right, this isn't working. Months later, I have like maybe 100 views on each one. I never look at that channel again. 5 years later, I'm on Google and I type in action figure diorama, and there's my freaking hands as the #1 Google search video, how to build bricks and blocks action figure diorama. I'm like, what the hell? And I go back and my video's got like 40 or 50,000 views on it, is like the #1 ranking at that for a short, maybe for like a year or so, on how to build. There's plenty of other videos now and it doesn't rank that well anymore, but it's just crazy. Sometimes things can sit there for years and just
the short that I did outside with all the figures, I just kind of did a little walk around. I had the Hiss tank out there. I had the vamp out there.
Was when you had the light on from the Hiss tank?
No. That was in the snow.
Yeah, that was a cool shot. I like that.
Thank you. No, it was starting to get windy, so like you actually saw like I think Roadblock fell over. But anyway, I did that and I posted on TikTok. I posted on Instagram, and I posted it on YouTube. And I hardly ever go on TikTok, but I can see it here, and I think it got like 1,300 views on Instagram. It got like 1,000 views maybe here, and then I go on my Instagram or on my TikTok like 2 or 3 weeks later. It has like 36,000 views. Now I have no other thing that's even close to that.
Yeah,
it's at like over 37,000 now. And it's funny because it's like, why, if it gets 37,000 there, why isn't it like somewhere comparable between these other ones? Because
so it's crazy because I've had shorts, like I said, go viral. And sometimes, and I usually do series because we'll be building a diorama and I'll do like, part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something like that. Sometimes if that series goes viral on YouTube Shorts, it will also go viral a little bit, but it might be a different one of the parts will go viral on another thing. And sometimes there's no correlation, but there does seem to be a little bit of correlation, after trying it over and over and over again. But yeah, no, I've had exactly that experience, dude.
It's just strange because, again, it's like if people liked it on TikTok, now I can understand it doesn't have to be the exact same, but you think like if it did that well over there, it should have done close to that on YouTube, which I have a much bigger presence.
Yeah. But also the pool of people making those types of videos is much bigger on YouTube. So what they do is they rank you in the algorithm by, you're competing against other people.
It's just so strange. And like I said, I'm sure the fact that you have all 3, you've probably looked at the same thing and you're going,
oh yeah,
this doesn't make any sense. Like, why does this have such, where these, and it's always like that.
Are you editing in a third-party program? Or are you editing on TikTok and YouTube Studio and
I don't really edit. When I do stuff, I do everything on my phone, and then I do it. And so when I do my reviews, I do everything through iMovie.
Okay.
So it's on my iPhone, and then I do everything in iMovie. That's why I haven't tried to do more professional stuff, because I don't know how to do it, and it would take too much time for me to try and learn it right now. That's why, hopefully, that's why my son and I were doing this project for toy stores.
Yeah.
We've recorded 2, but now he's not in school anymore. And now we're looking at how much it's going to cost to buy all this stuff.
That's a whole different level of editing, which you're talking about there. It's very time consuming.
But like TikTok, I just do like one straight shot. And usually I'll do it on either TikTok or on YouTube Shorts. and then I just save it and I move it to the other one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't really edit stuff.
there's a program called InShot, which
Okay.
is a very basic phone editor, but it has all the features you would need. I think you got to pay something small amount. It's nothing much. I don't know. It's probably not even $10, one-time fee to unlock it all. And what I usually do is I will shoot one video, put the clips together, edit it in InShot. I do voiceovers for most of mine because I'm talking about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But when you do it in that, you save the file and then you can just upload that file to YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram and not have to do the voiceover and anything else you were going to do in each individual program.
Yeah.
It saves a lot of time that way.
I have to look into that. I haven't really got into the shorts. I mean, I've tried and I'm just like,
Honestly, I think your time is better spent focusing on your long form content.
Yeah, and that's why, like, at the end of my review videos, I do that last, and there was really it was Ed's idea. He's like, you should do something at the end to just kind of go over what your last thoughts are, and so I have them on the I originally had it just spinning around on the Lazy Susan, and I did my minute talk of what it was, and then I started doing like 5 or 6 different shots of in different different. So I do that at the end, and then because that's already now clipped.
Yeah.
A couple days later, I throw that up on Instagram
As a short.
Yeah, or on YouTube.
Yeah, that's smart because you're already doing it. And this way, also, when you're framing that shot, make sure you're framing it, like you're saying, with vertical in mind, like if it's a spinning thing. So maybe you leave the sides kind of blank and just fill up the middle of the screen. So when you crop it, it's not crazy.
Yeah, so Legendary says Adobe Premiere has a mobile app as well. Now it has that feature as well to post on multiple social sites. Yep. And that's what my son will be getting because once he gets signed up for school, then he can do it and we can get it because it's usually like $60 a month. For a student, it's like $20 a month.
Adobe Premiere? Wow.
Yeah, like the whole suite, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
As a student. So
I have Photoshop and Lightroom, but that's all I got.
Yeah, you know what? In Lone Dragon, a lot of people don't, and that's like for me, long form is where my growth is going to be. That's where I'm going to find subscriber bases. That's what people are coming for.
People don't remember you from short form videos either. Like you don't grow that connection in that community like you do on live streams or on even just on long form videos. Short forms, you never remember. You just scroll to the next one. I will say it's been good for tips and it's been good for the diorama stuff, I think, to get people interested in it. And I've had lots of people that have seen Instagram reels and then they're like, where can I find more? And then they come over to live stream or something.
I don't know how many people I get. I know Allison gets a few.
It's going to be very small in comparison. Like if you get 100,000 views on a reel, you might have 2 people come check out your YouTube.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people I know that will say that, some of the toy tubers too that have gone against the shorts and they're like, it ruins your channel. Don't do it. No. It doesn't ruin your channel because if I'm putting out shorts that have to do with toys, then those people watching it, and if they subscribe, they care about toys. If I'm putting out shorts every single day of Roman, then they think they're coming here for a dog channel. Then they come to a long form and they're like, the fuck are these toys about? I keep seeing all this shit about dogs.
I see what you're saying, but this thing has been debated and kind of moved around, and I haven't really heard a clear answer on it. I do think, though, for the most part, kind of like Lone Dragon said, people who watch long form videos don't watch shorts that much. Yeah. There's some crossover, but really the people that watch shorts do not watch long form videos that often because a lot of them are younger. They don't have the attention span. They don't want to listen to 2-hour live streams of dude bros talking toys all day. Okay. No one's got time for that. But,
but again, like if you're putting out different shorts, that's not your content. Sure. All those subscribers, they're not going to watch your long form because they have no reason to.
One of the older arguments was you would get an inflated amount of subscribers from the shorts because a lot of them will subscribe. You'll get subscribers from shorts. but then none of them would convert into watching your long form, and it would actually lower your metrics.
Yep.
But I don't know what the actual answer is. I've heard every which way.
We're never gonna know because they're changing that formula every single week.
Yeah.
YouTube is constantly, people can say whatever they want. The reason why, at least not for a while, that no one's going to overtake YouTube is because they're not just sitting back and, oh, hey, you know what? Once they saw that this vertical short form was coming in, they said, we want those TikTokers. And they went after them.
So here's my hope for YouTube Shorts. Something that Instagram sucks at and TikTok sucks at. When I make a video that's a tip video on how to do something or instruction on something, no one will ever go back again and look at it on Instagram. If they ask me about it, I have to pull it up and send it to them or something like that.
Yeah.
YouTube is a search engine.
Yep.
It's amazing for finding things. And I hope that you can search for shorts, but I hope they get to where that's more of a thing, because if you could make your short have a life for a much longer period of time, like a long form video does, that would be amazing. Doesn't work on TikTok or Instagram. TikTok and Instagram, I've had some videos go viral that got views for a month. It's extremely rare. It's usually like 1 or 2 days and it's done.
Yep.
But if the algorithm picks it up, you get a few weeks out of it. Yeah, but that's about it.
No, and that's what I've seen too. You don't get anything that it shoots maybe for 24 hours if I'm lucky. But and again, for me, that's huge. And then it just dies. And I've seen 2 hours, like huge, like biggest that I've gotten, 400 views, 400, 500 views, and then it just dies.
Dude, I had some crazy views on shorts. Like,
I believe it.
4.2 million, I think, on one of them. I was like, what?
You don't have any playlists or anything, do you? Or did you receive any play buttons?
No, they don't do that with Instagram.
I'm thinking of YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't have anything. I had some in the millions on TikTok and some in the millions on Instagram.
Well, I think we should probably wrap it up.
We probably should. We need to release the people.
Yeah. Now, if you are watching this,
yeah, I'm sorry.
If you are watching this on the replay and you're not subscribed to his Instagram channel and he's at 98,000, 98.3 thousand, help get him to 100,000.
That would be nice. I'd like to do that this year.
Now, with that many people in this realm, I just can't believe you're not subscribed.
That's the problem usually, but
I was so happy to hit over 1,000. I honestly, I did not realize that you had that many.
That was my primary thing, was the Instagram for a while. So,
and that's amazing. I mean, it is, but again, you work hard for everything that you're doing. So
you do. Effort does pay off when you do this stuff. Sometimes you get lucky, but you got to keep trying to see if you get lucky with it. Pretty much is how it works.
You always have to be working at it. I say so many times, people don't see how much time I spend in this chair, behind this computer, making videos. And it's no one else's business. It's like the TV show you watch. You don't really care how much time they put into it. You just want that half hour or hour to be as good as possible.
For sure.
But it doesn't change the fact that, TV shows stay great because someone behind the scenes or the actors are constantly trying to make it better. And, I think that's what we, I know I try and do. I'm assuming you do the same thing. And there's
sometimes.
Like Daredevil Dave just gave you one more closer to.
Thank you, Daredevil Dave. And I also, if anyone ever wants to come hang out on the YouTube live, it's late, but it puts Ted to sleep every Friday.
Here's his IG.
Thank you, Matthew.
And I will throw in the
TikTok
YouTube.
is random dioramas with an S at the end of it.
Dioramas.
Yeah.
Not diarrheas. Not diarrhea.
I have random diorama also, but we won't talk about that. But anyway, yeah, Random Dioramas is the account that I use on TikTok.
Well, both, like I said, both things are in the description.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me.
Absolutely, man. It's fun.
I knew you and I could talk for quite some time, and
We didn't
honestly,
even get through like a hundredth of my stuff, so I was worried there wasn't going to be enough without the parts that wouldn't land me in jail, but it seemed to work out just fine.
and Ted said he'll soon have more opportunity to watch a lot of your stuff.
Sounds good, Ted.
3.25 days left. Well, now it should just be 3 days, I'm assuming, because we've gone for 3.5 hours.
And Ted, I don't know if you're still listening, but if you are, I think we need to talk when you have a little more time. I'd like to do something again with Hella Dope. I know you guys could probably maybe use some help with a couple of things, but we'll talk about it.
And as you know, Ted's going to have a lot of time soon. So, but let's wrap it up. And 3 more times he has. Again, thank you very much. I mean, I try and jump in on your streams on Friday, but by that time I'm usually so burnt out.
I hear you.
You have to decompress from YouTube when you're doing it. I was talking to 3-Star Draw today, and he's like, "You're all over the place. I don't know how you do it." I'm like,
dude, like right now, I realized by doing this, I'm starting up today. My stream is tomorrow, and I may end up on Oz's on Saturday, and I'm just wondering what I'm gonna look like at the end of that, but we'll see.
Well, tomorrow at 6 p.m. and I will promote it soon. I will be on Legend Series.
Sweet.
It is pre-recorded, so I don't have to fucking be there other than
cheating.
In the chat. You know what? Every now and then again, it's nice. Some of my favorite Thursday with the Friends is when they're pre-recorded, because as easy as this one is, because I don't have to do anything but ask questions and have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's also nice to sometimes be like, I don't really have to do anything. It's already scheduled. It's already been done. Now the work's already been done. I mean, the work was done. I'm just gonna sit back and let YouTube play it. So,
and that's kind of what I like about my stream is I don't have to talk. I can just talk a little with the chat and then just work on stuff, and I don't have to pre-plan.
Well, you always seem to be.
Yeah, I do talk. It's true.
But yeah, I feel like you're always chatting. I mean, the moment I pop in,
well, you're early too. As it gets later, my blood sugar lowers. I sometimes speak a little bit less. I got to do my midstream snack.
Yeah, and then if we end up on Oz's, it's like
Oz, though, it doesn't take as much energy because there's so many people there.
Yeah, I know, but when you get on and you're like, I'm only going to be on for like an hour, then 5 o'clock in the morning comes and you're like,
it's so funny because I remember hearing you say first couple of times I saw you on there, you were like, I don't really think I have much time to do this because I'm streaming all the other times. So I'll pop in for like an hour. And then now every Saturday you're there for like 4.
Because you know what? After midnight, what the fuck am I going to do? I don't have a fucking girlfriend. So it's not like I'm banging some fucking broad or something. You know, it's not like some hotties in my fucking bed saying, are you going to come to bed? I'm just going to fucking sit there.
6-hour dude bro session instead. Absolutely.
6 hour dude bro. That's
perfect. All right, we need to wrap it up. We need to end.
Yes, we do. Or else we'll keep going for another fucking 3.5 hours. Thank you very much. I am going to play the ending. If you want to stick around for a second so I can talk to you, that'd be great.
For sure. We'll do it.
All right. Take care, guys. And I will see you guys all probably Saturday.
Have a great one, everyone.
Friday night. Bye, guys.